Guess who's back, Clay boy? That
What up?
Taylor Atwood, King Atwood is back, and we were
Yes,
just
sir.
hyping each other up, man, about possibilities and powerlifting and doors that are opening, and it is definitely a sign of the times. I'll let you start talking about all these things that are happening, but the sport right now is at its pinnacle. You've been around forever. Okay, you were at the first world championships I was at, and the difference between 2016 and now, championships are bigger. They're on major TV networks. The
Hmm.
media, the digital assets being created, with Sheffield happening and everything, every powerlifting is biggest as ever been.
Hmm.
And doors are opening up like crazy for people, if they're willing to walk through those doors. And
Hmm.
we can start talking now about some doors that are opening up for you, for other people, and how, yeah, man, it's like a dream come true right now.
Yeah, I'm blessed to be in a position where I'm at least in the powerlifting world. Um, Not the best showing the last 6 months with my last two meets, but again, I think I've mentioned this before. Not I'm not gonna let the last two meets really tell the story of who Taylor Atwood is. We have a recency bias as a community, as people. So you're only as relevant as what you've done today, and that's kind of how a lot of organizations and people operate. Is like, what have you done for me today? And unfortunately for me, I haven't done much for the Taylor Atwood brand coming out of Sheffield and Worlds, but I've met a few people that recognize what I have done and recognize I'm a three-time world champion, not a national champion, three-time world champion. And I'll tell the quick story because I was telling it to you before we hopped on here. So I was approached by a gentleman in my gym and works for a very well-known brand within the sports realm. And he approached me, introduced himself, and kind of just said, "Hey, I recognize who you are. I recognize what you've done within powerlifting." He's a powerlifter himself, which was very interesting. I think he's in his like late 40s. Great
I should add
deadlifter.
I should add a piece here because you're being extremely humble. Yes, yes, it was a big brand. Can I mention how big this brand is? I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say
you
the
can
brand. I'm not gonna
mention.
let you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
my friend, because you were being so freaking humble now. Okay, so Taylor told me before we went on the air, my friend, not multi-million dollar company and brand, billion with a B, with
Yeah.
a B. But this is insane. But like, I can't believe how not just let you tell this story. Playboy, this is the stuff that like afterwards you're looking at your boys like, oh my God, is this happening right now? But I get it. You got to be calm, cool, cool. Like deals
Yeah.
aren't done, so that's why you can't say anything. And who knows what comes of it? But just having this conversation and is insane. And I gotta throw that out there for anyone listening because you're being nonchalant. And I'm like, my dude, I wouldn't sleep
Yeah.
for a week if I had this conversation with this guy you're talking about. And Taylor showed me the name and the whole nine. And I don't think I'm asleep tonight. But anyways, so go ahead with your story.
Yes.
Sorry, but
So I guess, yeah, for those listening, it is a major organization within the sports realm. It's a multi-billion-dollar organization for sure. Um, very well known brand, but essentially, like, I met a very senior person there. The deal isn't done, so like this is all premature. But even just having an opportunity, someone approaching me and recognizing that, one, I'm a power lifter, so they lift weights as well, but power lifter, and two, I'm a world champion. And I want to iterate that because it's not, he didn't recognize me because I was a national champion. He recognized me because I was a world champion. And he essentially was like just introduced himself to me. and it was so brief. It was just like literally like a 5 minute uh conversation, and he handed me his business card and said, "Hey, if you ever need anything, just let me know." And I'm not one to ever ask for a handout or anything like that. I don't do that much. Um, what I do, and I'll get into the business side of like when I do ask for something, it's more around like mentorship, like just guidance,
Mm.
but never like an exchange of a product or I need something from you, money or anything like that. So he said, if you need anything, just reach out. I was like, okay. Long story short, one of my buddies from college, from my MBA program, he set up an outing, and I reached out to this guy. There were some things that went on behind the scenes, and I just reached out, said, "Hey, can you help out?" And he did. Um, and
Hold.
he
You showed the guy to the name on the card you showed me and the title on the card. You reached out to him and he.
No, I didn't show my buddies who
Okay,
he
okay,
was. I kept
okay,
him under wraps,
okay, okay.
but but I reached out to him. He helped us out. Um, but again, long story short, I started to build a rapport with this guy, and he he was like, I was like, all right, hey, I do have a favor to ask. Do you mind if I just pick your brain for like 15-30 minutes, just about business, about your career, how you got to where you're at? Because he's a very senior person within this organization.
This is the
So
person the name on the card that we're talking about. That you're
yeah,
having this
this is the
conversation.
person on
Holy
the card
shit,
now.
Taylor, you talk to this guy. Okay. Holy smokes, man. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah, so this is the guy who gave me the business card, very senior person within this organization. Um, and he said, yeah, come down to where you know,
Yeah,
right?
the headquarters.
He said
Taylor,
come down.
holy smokes, dog. Oh man, alive, man.
So that's
Who
where
was
his
with you?
office was.
Who was with you and why wasn't I? I can call in sick. I got sick days, Playboy. I got
it was
sick
an
days.
experience, man. It was an
Yeah, I bet.
experience. Walking
Okay.
through those halls and seeing what
Who
I got to see.
who did you bring?
I it was just myself.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I did I did have the opportunity to bring three people with me, but not the experience that I had. Like I had
Okay.
one-on-one time with this guy. So again, I just asked him for like 30 minutes of his time. The guy gave me like 2 hours of his time. And
Just
we just talked. We just talked. And I was asking him about his path to where he got, where he wants to go. Um, and he he brought up, what do you want to do with your brand? And I was like, that's such an interesting question because I do work. I have a corporate job, and I'm fairly successful there. Um, and he was like, are you at a crossroads or like what's going on? And I was like, to be honest, I am, because I feel like I either just go all in for this corporate job and I can become very successful doing that, or I somehow try to build the Taylor Atwood brand and do something there. Now, I'm not like a Russ where I have this physique where I just look like a freak of nature. I'm very strong, but I was just listening to a podcast on the Better Take with Russ and Jeff Nippard. And for those that don't know Jeff Nippard is like an OG within the fitness community and very smart when it comes to anything scientific, from the body to programming to anything fitness related. So
it's from
they
Toronto.
were, yeah, from Toronto. Yeah, yeah. So they were actually talking about how uh essentially like it, you can't, like, powerlifting is so niche, and I'll talk about that later. But powerlifting is so niche, but at the same time, like I'm not that big outside of powerlifting, and like a Jeff Nippard or a Russ, where they look like freaks of nature. They are strong. People like they have that wow factor. What's Grizzly or whatever?
Right. Yeah.
Like he can literally post a 60-second clip of him doing like 1,000-pound shrugs, and that will get millions of views. But he's clearly not like physique wise, like he doesn't look like a Russ or bodybuilder, but he has that wow factor. It's the same thing with Russ, same thing with Jeff. Like they just very smart for Jeff. Russ looks like an absolute freak, and Grizzly's just strong as shit and looks like a mammoth. For me, like I'm a I'm a power lifter. I'm strong, but I don't think I have that crazy wow factor. So I have to just go with what God has given me in terms of gifts, and that is like me networking, being somewhat educational and smart, um, and being somewhat of a good guy when you get to actually know me, not just what you hear on a podcast or how I portray myself on social media. So when I talked to this guy, he gave me this opportunity, this golden egg, man. Like it just came out of left field. And he's like, "Have you ever thought about public speaking?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually, I have." And he's like, "Have you ever done it?" And I was like, "Well, I've done some seminars here and there, but not for any like huge crowds. Maybe like the most I had done is I've performed in front of big crowds, like 1,700 at the Sheffield, but I've never spoke to that many people. So maybe like the most is over 100 people, and that was at IBM. So at my company. So when he brought up the public speaking, he was like, "Look, I loved when you were going through it at Sheffield or during Sheffield." He was like, "I resonated with everything you were saying in all of your videos in terms of mindset, in terms of how you were portraying everything with the injury." And he was like, "I really saw you persevering through a lot of the things that I have personally gone through in my life, um, and to get to where I am." And he's like, "I want you to tell your story on how to become a champion." Or hear me?
You froze, but I can hear you. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I see
Right.
myself. I'm frozen.
Yeah. I'm not
Um,
sure.
I don't know what's going
I
on.
I can
My
hear you just
internet's
fine though.
okay, fine. So again, long story short, he gave me the opportunity to potentially, he has to talk to his higher ups. He's very senior, but he's still one more higher up. And then it's the
Everybody's
big
got a
guy.
boss.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a boss.
So
And
it has to
hey,
get,
everybody will know his boss. Tell you that right
yes.
now.
Yes, they will. Yes, they
Tell
will.
you that right now.
So he's like, "Look, I have to talk to a few people. This has to get signed off by so and so." And he was like, "I would love you to come talk to my employees." And he's got over 1,000.
Dude, okay. Okay, first off, this is fucking crazy. Um, yeah, this is when people understand if this happens. Yeah, look, even if this doesn't happen, you being invited down to this organization, walking the building and having this conversation is phenomenal. It's crazy.
Mhm.
The doors that opened up for you like that. You having 2 hours and spending an afternoon with this dude is crazy. Him telling you the things he told you reaffirms things that we've had this conversation on the podcast. Me and I've said the same thing to Delaney about you guys got to do public speaking for sure. And when you were talking about things that certain social media people have, Russ is bodied up, Jeff is bodied up, Grizzly looks like nothing you've ever seen in terms of a
Mhm.
human in real life. He's literally a
Yeah.
larger than life character, etc. That's great because social media's got certain things like that. They have a wow factor like that, and you were describing it. But one thing you didn't say that you had that certain other social media people might not. Like, yeah, Russ can kill it on a podcast, but I don't know what certain other social media people might not. One
Mhm.
thing you for sure got, sir, is charisma. Your podcasts on KOTL always blow up. You come on here and when you tell a story, you could tell a fucking story. When you lean in, it's for sure engaging, and it's more to it than just details, etc. It's hard to explain.
Hmm.
But it's your speaking skills and your speaking engagement, and to be able to do that, and that is a freaking very unique skill, and will separate you from the pack. If you have a story to tell in a resume, and you walk in, everybody loves sports. All countries love sports and athletes. And if you're a multiple time world champion who's good at telling your story and is not afraid to do a public speaking, it is huge asset. I sound like a dead
Hmm.
horse because I bring it up so often on the podcast about people should be doing more public speaking. And that's where doors will open up, because the digital assets that can be created off the public speaking and the
Hmm.
people you'll reach when you do 1,000 people at a organization, like you're saying, and oh, you pop up at another organization in another organization like that, because the doors start opening because 1,000 people walk away and talk about it. The other organization starts bringing you in. The doors that open is crazy, man. It's
Hmm.
crazy.
Now,
It's
again, I think you have to have the again to your point, Ryan, is you have to have the charisma. You do have to have those intangibles to be able to even be approached by someone. Um, but you have to be open to the opportunity, right? Like there's just so many things in my life, at least, where I again it's I believe in God, I believe in a higher power, and there's so many things that have happened in my life where I just like, and the reason why I do is because this point is there's so many things in my life that I can't pinpoint. Man, there's just too many things where you can just say, oh, that was coincidence. It's like I just have something else working in my favor. And I feel like this is, and you have to be open to those opportunities as well, though, right? Like my dad calls it the ribbon of opportunity, and it only dips down so many times, but you have to be prepared to grab it.
mm,
And when that ribbon presents itself, it could be in the most unlikeliest of places, but you as the person have to be so open-minded and not so solely focused on just this one goal, and be open to like where is that opportunity actually coming from, because the again i i I'm not one to reach out and ask for favors. But to continue on my story, so there's the ribbon of opportunity that my dad was mentioning, and not everyone is prepared to see that ribbon and grab it. Like you have to be open minded to be able to even recognize that the opportunity is there.
mm.
And it could be so abstract, like someone just coming up to you saying, "Hey, if you ever need anything, just reach out." And the opportunity comes to reach out, and some may never do that. For me, it was like I wasn't even planning on reaching out to him, but the opportunity just presented itself, so I did. And now, like, it led into another meeting afterwards, led into a 2 hour conversation, and led into just
Crazy. This is
me.
life, man. Isn't it
It's
crazy when something
crazy.
this like this life happens, where a door, you just go to the gym one day, and you just meet somebody and doors start opening
Mhm.
just like that.
Mhm.
It,
Yeah.
it- you have to be ready to just walk through doors, stay positive, be that guy or that girl.
Well, and this is me also, what we were talking about before, Ryan, before the podcast started, is the powerlifting community is its own worst enemy. And we are in a point where like people just talk shit to talk shit and want to see people fail, and um are so hipster. Like Russ was saying that. And I think it's so true that like the powerlifting community is literally its own worst enemy. Like we almost don't want it to grow. We we do things to just stab ourselves, and that goes all to the way to the highest of high for powerlifting as well. That's not just the community itself, that's also the leadership. And like if I showed you guys this organization and the opportunity that I was given just because of where I have reached within this sport, it would open some eyes in terms of like
Oh,
possibilities.
dude, I'm telling you, I was when you showed me, I was like, oh my God. I had to stop your story and be like, stop underselling and and stop it right
And
now.
again, it's like I'll mention it. I'll mention the organization when everything is fully inked and I have a date set, and then
Yeah.
like do what I have to do. But um, like we're still in talks. This is very premature for me to even talk about it, but I'm very excited that the opportunity has even presented itself. And the only reason it has presented itself is because one, I'm a world champion, and two, I presented myself in a manner that he feels um, would benefit his organization. And as much as most people want to see me fail, it's like, okay,
No,
maybe I
no, that's
fail.
not true. That's not true.
All right,
No,
some
most
people,
people, yeah. Not most
some
people are
people,
behind you, dog.
yeah, some
Um,
people.
for
Uh,
sure. For sure.
but isn't that funny? Like sometimes we just focus on the negative so much that
That makes you
sometimes the
human. Happens to me, dog. So what happens is it's the vocal 2% are like you can read 20 comments positive, but it's easy. Okay, yeah, like fire emojis, thumbs up, get them, flipping through. The one guy that says something like, "Yeah, I fucking said you would fall off," and you'd be like, "Son of a bitch."
yeah.
And that's the one. That's the one. Thank you. That's the one I'm going to focus on. And it is. And it becomes like and you read a few of those throughout the week and you'll fluff off all the ones that are like, I mean, you know how many people run into you and be like, there's the goat. They see you at
Yeah,
worlds and like, don't matter, dog. Leading into worlds after worlds. Great, Calle, one hats off to you. They still refer to you as the GOAT, whatever. That's Taylor. Nothing can be undone of what you already did.
yeah,
That's the beautiful thing of like, it's done. I've already done this. I've already established myself. And the positivity around you, it's so much greater. But yeah, that just makes you human. To reckon it's like,
yeah.
oh,
But
how come someone's coming? Stick with me.
what's also cool and something that also puts things into perspective for me is this organization believes in me and trusts me enough to come motivate their group. Um, but it puts it into perspective of this is so much bigger than powerlifting. Like, and that's where, again, like as a powerlifting community, when people say this is not a sport or why are you taking it so serious? Or like any dumb comment that you can think of that you've heard, it's like when I show you this organization, if it comes to fruition, that's the reason why I do it. Because I'm on an international level. I'm on an international world stage. I'm not just US. I am international and I touch a lot of continents and countries. And the words, the impact that you as an individual, even someone with 30,000 followers, like you still have a world of followers. And like as a power lifter, yeah, maybe you're not a world champion yet. Yet. I started out on Instagram with 0 followers, right? And I've worked my way up to where I'm at now. Shit, Ryan, same thing. Congratulations on 300K, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Uh, so like again, having this platform to be able to come on, tell our stories, you give us a voice as well. Again, I call you the voice of powerlifting. No disrespect to Gino. Gino, I think, is a great commentator in the meat, but you are truly the voice of powerlifting, in my opinion. And that's where, like, you know, you're giving us a platform. Like, I know this gets streamed by thousands of people to listen to this every month. Um, so even though we're not talking to thousands of people, like, still people are listening. So it's still cool. Yeah, we may not have talk. I may so when I say my audience, I won't, like, in person. I feel like that's such a different medium of speaking, because this is just me talking. Like, the thing that I'm going to be doing for this organization is motivating. And that's where I think, again, the powerlifting community, like, some want to throw shade at me for some of the things that I say, but you don't realize it's not meant for you if you don't understand what I'm saying. It's not meant for you. And even if it doesn't make sense, good. It's not meant for you.
Hmm.
But the people that it does reach, and the people that do understand and it resonates with, because I have way more than that. But again, we like to focus on the negative sometimes. I do let that permeate through, and it's something that I'm working on. But nonetheless, those messages, those words leave a lasting impression on people. And if you don't understand it, it's okay. It's not meant for you. Just move on. Don't sit here and try to be negative about it, though. Like, maybe it's not meant for you right now. How about later on down the line, when you're potentially going to use that phrase or whatever it may be that I said, and you're like, damn, that does resonate. That hits now. I've had people reach out to me about that too, where they're like, yo, I thought this was stupid when you first wrote it, and now I'm going through this. Like,
Really?
I've had DMs, numerous DMs about people that, like, yo, I thought this was cringe a while ago, but now this really, really resonates with me. Shit, even the respect the belt, when I get made fun of all the time. I don't know if you saw, there was a video. This guy was like,
Dude,
tested lifters versus
I
untested lifters.
reposted it. I reposted it. I don't think he was making fun of you so much as
Well,
showing what
I took it as he was making fun of me. One, because, like, he was humping the belt, so, like, that's still disrespect. That's
no, he was
disrespectful.
disrespecting the
But
belt, but I think he was trying to show how crazy untested, like I think it was more a contrast of tested
yes,
versus untested.
I agree, but I took it in a different context.
But can I say
But
something?
nonetheless,
When it comes to I don't want you to lose your point. We're gonna jump right back. But when it comes to stuff like that, what I've grown to see is when you make something even about respect the belt, people are going to push back, or even if they make fun or whatever. But you made something that people across the world, tested, untested, now associate with you. I don't think you understand
that's
how
right.
hard that is to do.
Yeah,
You don't understand how hard that is to do. And for some people to be like, when I do this, everyone knows I'm referring to Taylor Atwood. Like,
yeah,
whether it's them doing it, I've seen the girl from India whom I've had on the podcast. She's from India and doing massive things in India with women in India in gyms is very, very unique. She's breaking down major. She's like an Asian champion breaking records, right? I've talked to her on DMs or whatnot, and I seen her do the respect the belt and repost it. It's a little
yeah.
different in India, where that is it hits more. Dog, in India they're watching you though, huh? As well as some dudes trying to have fun in in untested. It all comes back. You know how hard it is for someone to have done what you did. Where, like, now when you think about how you put your fucking belt down, you think of me. And if you throw your belt and it's in protest to me, I'm making you throw your fucking belt. I'm making you take your belt off and throw it across the room, and you're thinking of me when you're done your set to protest against me. That's me.
That's
That's what
fair.
I'm doing. People can't make this happen. They'd be like, how do I become relevant enough that the way you take your belt off becomes a thing? People make memes. People in India respect it and are like, whatever. People like all over the world. How do I make this a thing? You know how hard that would be. Brains get together being like, it's just a belt. What are you talking about? And some guy will have a vision. No, but it's called respect the belt. And there'll be clowner culture that'll make fun of it, which makes it even bigger. And then
That's
there'll be,
fair. That's fair.
you can't do with this, man. You don't understand how unique this is. It's amazing. And this is what a guy from be like, just do something. Do something. Let me tell you something else. You don't think The Rock posts some motivational shit and people think he's cringe and make fun of him? It's The Rock. Do you understand how huge The Rock is? How many people love him? How many far more people love him than make fun of him? And you think he gives a shit? If he was afraid of the people making fun of him, saying he's cringe, and obviously he's posting some shit people are going to say is cringe, who cares? It's one of those deals where, yeah, but he's building. It's crazy what he's built, and he knows he's like, nah, I'm leaning in. We're going in. It's
You're
all
gonna
the
have
same.
to exit out that name. Like
The Rock?
you'll have to no, you'll have to replay. You said the name.
Did I? What did I say?
Yeah.
Did
You,
okay? I'll bleep it.
yeah.
Did I say the organization?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to bleep it. I'm
Yeah,
glad
bleep
you
it.
caught it.
Anyway.
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
but you know what? Us having this conversation right now, people are like, oh fuck, we almost had it. If Taylor didn't say the six pack, I'll
just
keep
make
this,
sure
Paul.
you
I'll keep this in.
yeah, make sure that you get that out though. Bleep
I
that.
will, dog. I will for sure,
Bleep that.
dude. It's so crazy. But anyways, um, my point being, everything I said is true, dog. It's very, very difficult and unique to be in the situation you're in. And
It is. It is. And look, man, like I was going through it leading into Sheffield and still leading into Worlds, like mentally and physically. I don't think I don't think many people knew like my mental fatigue and my just how I was mentally leading into Sheffield. I put so much pressure on myself, but then I went, and the only reason I did that is because I was injured, and I was like, I got to get healthy. I got to get healthy. I got to get healthy, and I wasn't able to perform at the level that I know I'm capable of. And I don't think anyone that's been injured will understand that, but anyone who hasn't, at the biggest meet in powerlifting history, to not be able to perform at your best and to know that you weren't 100%, it's a it's a very very bad feeling. And I shrugged it off because again it was still an exhibition, so it wasn't it didn't mean as much, you know? Like, yeah, it would have been great to be the first Sheffield winner. But like I again, legacies are built on world championships. So after I performed how I performed at Sheffield, I was like, all right, let's shake that off. You're feeling a little better leading into worlds. Let's see if you can like really come out of worlds again, a world champion. And when I got gut punched again, it was like, damn, again, mental. Just I didn't even want to like you and I talked. You're like, yo, I told you were like, whenever you want to talk, just reach out. And I reached out to you literally what a day ago, and here we
yeah,
are.
it's been a hot
So
minute, but
it's
it's
been a yeah, it's been like a month where I really just wanted to just stay away from what happened because like I leaving worlds this past worlds left a bad feeling in my stomach. Like it was just gut wrenching. But again, like I can't continue to just think about myself because it's bigger than me, right? And I've had so many opportunities in my life where I was on the other end of that stick, where I was on Calle. I was on Calle's level. And again, I he beat me fair and square. Like I can't sit here and say I didn't try at the world championship. I did. He executed better. He went 9 for 9 and he beat me. But it, to lose how I lost on technical, not strength anymore. Like I like at Sheffield, it was strength. I didn't have the strength in me. Um, but I knew I had the strength in me on that day. And again, we can talk about what would have or could have, should have happened. Um, but I'm not going to dwell on it. But to know that I could have gone 9 for 9 and I was strong enough on that day, that's what frustrated me the most. And I felt, but again, it's bigger than me. Calle could now that could have been the meet where it just gained his confidence and now takes off into the stratosphere. Whereas if he lost, who knows what would have happened, right?
mm,
So I just think about those things where, because I was talking to my mom about this as well, and I'm like, it's I can't continue to just think, why me, why me. It's like it was supposed to happen how it was supposed to happen, and I've had my opportunities. I'm a 3-time world champion. How many more do I need to solidify? I have the best 74, even whatever Austin does in the future. I'm still right now the current best pound for pound in the world. So I'm using that platform, I'm using that prestige with major organizations. I'm going to use that and use it my story. And even the past 6 months, I'm going to put that into my speech, because I think the trials and tribulations I've gone through thus far this year alone, let alone my entire life, um, since it's so recent, it's left such a big impact on who I am right now and how I respond and how I go about whatever's next. Um, is the defining moment. Like, these are defining moments, and you either get hit and knocked down, or you get hit, knocked down, and get up, and that's Rocky. So I'm choosing to get up, and I'm choosing to never quit. That's it's just, it's not in my nature, it's not who I am, and that's part of what I want to give to this community is, dude, you put your mind to anything that you want to get done, strategize and execute. If you can do those two things, man, anything is possible. Anything. Anything. And
And you,
that's, go ahead.
I was about to say, and you with Sheffield and Worlds, you're down, but then all of a sudden, like that whole one door closes, one door opens situation that
Yeah.
always happens in life. And just when
Mm-hmm.
you're down, you're like, God damn, what do I do? What next? What do you? And all of a sudden, a door opens,
Mm-hmm.
and don't worry, you don't want to have to bleep this, but I'm not going to slip it. But a door opens, and holy freaking smokes, man! It's like, look at an athletic career is yay big, but afterwards, everything you do with that afterwards is all on you. You know, whether you're going to be like Michael Bisping and George St. Pierre in the UFC, like these are guys that I saw win titles, etc. Now they're in their 40s and they're killing it now. Now they're in like movies, commentating, and they're like massive right now. And so many doors open for them working with whatever brands, etc. And if you build and cultivate your resume. You need the resume to back up. Makes it a lot easier if you have the resume. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and check, right. You got the resume. You got the ability to tell your story when you're on podcasts and different media outlets. You got that as well. But also you need to have a bit of a vision here. You need to understand, like, what are you going to do with
Yeah.
your brand? You got a brand built around it that's
Mm-hmm.
different, man. You got to be a little different, and you are, right. Like it's even if you were to tell your story about respect the belt, and even if you were to tell your story, all those different things, and here's why, and here's this, here's that, all the way back, like in terms of like your story back with Shell from Norway, the first worlds, to coming back
Yeah,
to the
man.
2019 worlds, to winning best lifter at 2019 worlds and establish yourself, to all of those, you got enough stories to tell. It's all about, so, and that's not to say that, like, first off, okay, so we'll put a pin in all this for a second.
Yeah.
100%, the opportunities that are out in front of you right now to capitalize on everything you've already done is all right there, and it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got to start leaning into it and be like, how do we do this?
That's right.
What can I put together to make this happen? And there's a lot, man. There's a lot. If you start doing these speaking engagements, start leaning into it, there's a lot. As the sport growing bigger and what SBD is doing, etc. These are conversations. This only helps. This only helps you, because the
Yeah.
whole sport rises, and you're like, oh, this is a sport game popular. I'm a multiple time world champion in this sport.
Yeah.
Every time someone even hears about the sport, then they meet you, you're like, yes, perfect, perfect. And that's for
Mm-hmm.
like 10 years in advance. When you're in your mid 40s, and it's like, oh, hopefully the sport keeps, some people like, it sucks. Sport got even bigger. Now I'm in my 40s. No, but you could still be eating food off of this if you do this
If you
properly.
play your
It's
cards
all
right.
good. Yes, of course,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, man. Ed
Mm-hmm.
Cohen hasn't competed in decades, and
Dude, he's killing
who
it.
he is, man. We all know who he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You just got to do you do it properly, and you're around in generations way afterwards where you've already been a part of all these the digital age, and so all your achievements have been captured and seen a kabillion times.
Well, I
So
think what
it's
also
easier.
resonates with my audience is I have these kids that are approaching adulthood and like graduating college, are first time parents. Like they see me doing that, achieving a certain level with all these other things, like real life adult things are hitting me in the face and I'm handling all of it. So I think it resonates a lot with that crowd. And I think it resonates because the guy from the organization, he's also got two little ones. So he sees I'm a father. He sees all the things that I'm doing. Um, it's not just the powerlifting, right? It's the whole package. And that's honestly like, regardless of, I'm always a competitor and I'm always going to talk my shit. I'm
Mm.
always going to have sound bites because that's just who I am. That's my personality. But again, until you actually get to know me, man, this was a great quote. Tom Holland actually I saw a video of him say it, but he heard it from somewhere else. But it goes, if you have a problem with me, text me. And if you don't have my number and you have a problem with me,
You
don't
don't know me
like,
anyways.
you don't know me anyways, right? So it's like I get so caught up sometimes in um, people that honestly, in the grand scheme, don't matter. They just don't. And again, I'm very selective now with who I give my energy to because I don't have enough to go around. Um, but when I think of this thing is so much bigger than powerlifting, that's it. Like I want to grow my brand beyond powerlifting. I want it to be bigger than that. I'll forever be grateful to the community because that's where it all started. But
Mm.
I want it to be bigger than this, and I think it can be. Um, and it's this is just the beginning, and it's wild. It's wild to think about that
Leaning
I have
into
this.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's lean into this because we touched base on it a little bit before the podcast, but
Mm-hmm.
essentially we do have some people who feel a little bit like they want to gatekeep to an extent, right?
Yeah,
And
for
sometimes
sure.
whatever their intentions are with it, certain people have different intentions, so it's difficult to generalize everybody in this. But when you're gatekeeping to an extent and you're just viewing it as even the view of this means more to me if if the reason why a world title means so much is it transcends beyond powerlifting. You don't have to say much. He doesn't know who is who at certain world championships, etc. And as time passes, even powerlifters won't know.
Mm-hmm.
Powerlifters won't know 2019 who was there. Powerlifters won't. It's even in your own community. But winning a world title, that's all you got to say. It opens the door, and we've had this conversation for another podcast. It opens the door. I understand you're in sports. I don't follow powerlifting much. I know what it is. I don't know who's who in it, though. I got news for you. A lot of powerlifters don't look outside their weight class. They come on the podcast when I can be honest with you. I know a weight class up, a weight class down, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So people are playing themselves if they think it's beyond, it's difficult like that. But what's going to help if you're thinking about making moves outside of powerlifting, like you're talking, is having the world title. You meet somebody who goes, I know powerlifting. I'm not going to be able to cite you open powerlifting stats or whatever, but I know what a world champion is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could tell your story and be like, let me tell you about 2019, this guy named Shell. Let me tell you about 2019 USAPL Nats, the American Nationals. Let me tell you about blah, blah, blah. And all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, the guy's like, oh, tell me the story about it. Who's that guy? Oh, he beat me and blah, blah, blah. And I had to, that's when it matters. That's when it matters when you're telling the story. But in terms of the bigger picture, it helps to bring things like that world title because it's easy to walk in the door and just be like, I don't got to tell you much. I'm a multiple time world champion. And at the world championships, I won the best lifter award twice.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be like, okay, well, so what does that mean? Be like, I was the champion of champions. I was the best of the best of all the champions, all the weight classes, pound for pound, the best. You don't even got to get it into formulas because that convolutes it, right? That's just easier to be like at the world championships and all the champions, I won the best champion of champions award. That's it. I was number one pound for pound too. Now the guy's like, okay, tell me your story. Like, do you got a story? I'm like, my friend, I got a story. Now you get into the weeds of it, right? But when you do things like in that helps. So when you blow up your mind in terms of that bigger picture, if you have ambitions to go outside of just powerlifting into telling your story, so that got you in the door. Now you get to tell your story, and you got a phenomenal background story when you came on King of Lifts the last podcast and talked about it, everything you've been through, and then now you're here now. Phenomenal story, very inspirational. Tons of people adored that story, showed a different side of you, and then it opens these discussions and talks, and then the things you learn through powerlifting transcend past powerlifting, way past powerlifting, like the commonalities of overcoming this, that, and the third, and everything you've been through. This is relatable on so many levels. It's just wrap it up in a sports story I can get behind. I'm not a basketball guy. I absolutely love The Last Dance. Everyone did. And so many people, it doesn't matter though. It's not about that though. It was just, you got me there because I understand sports. Tell me a good sports story. 30 for 30, those series.
Those are
half
awesome,
the time,
man.
I don't care about the story. I don't care about the sports, the athletes, the stories, though. I came to the door because of the sports story, and we all love sports stories and athletes. And I say, have you heard about the Taylor Atwood story? Who's that? Multiple time world champion. He won like best lifter, all these world championships. He's like pound for pound the best. And when you say pound for pound, people are like that's like Mayweather in boxing. It's like, yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
That's
it's
right.
easy. It's easy though, huh? And they'll be like, how do you know he's pound for pound? Well, he won the best lifter award though. Like this isn't made believe. Like he won the award. Like in boxing, it's kind of like a made up. No, but he won at the world championships. And this is where when you win world titles, it means something. When you win best lifter at the world championship, it means it helps. It helps. It helps. So then when you get that story, the person's like, tell me, is he got a good story? I'm like, oh, fuck, buddy. And that's where it happens, man. That's when the good stuff happens. And so to that point, I get what you mean. Where like you can use powerlifting to reach other people and encourage them. And when you do this and you tell a story and you give your 30 for 30 out there and you're giving videos in the back and you're like, let me tell you a story about this. You show the video and I had to bounce back from that and blah, blah, blah. People leave your 30-minute engagement. Like Mike Tyson did this, had an HBO special where he told his story, used videos, he used in the background and he came back through and all the rest of it. It was phenomenally done. It was just him talking on stage and I stayed for 90 minutes. You do your 30 for 30 on stage, my friend. You do it, you could really get in, lean in and do this. And get people to help you with videos and like really piece this like a presentation together with it. You do this, it helps powerlifting. Everyone who came will leave being like, holy shit. That guy's got a phenomenal story and that was amazing. And they're all going to leave me like, I knew about powerlifting. I didn't know it was that. Right. How many people watch powerlifting like I didn't know it was exciting like that when it was a crazy session? Or they see one of those 20-minute white lights videos that the white lights team does from Worlds. I don't know if you've seen some of those. They did it on 74 Battle, but they do it.
I didn't watch it because again, it was like
that's fine. I got you. I got you. But you could watch other sessions. But like the way they do it, people watch them and like I can't believe how good powerlifting is to watch like this. People will leave. It helps all of us. It helps all of us. But it also, it can be something where a guy like you, who's not afraid to public speak and has a vision, can walk through those doors and be a part of that. And who knows what's going to open up for you when you start doing this. And for all of us, this helps all of us, dude. Because when they get you, then when the next guy comes around, Delaney or whoever, Gavin or whoever, and they're like, well, the organization talks and they're like, well, Taylor killed it. Be like, yeah, I think I want to hear this Gavin kid story then.
Yeah.
If he's because people like powerlifters, they're like,
Delaney's already doing it. We were scheming like a year ago on how to get this off the ground, and Delaney's doing it. I'm potentially doing it. So yeah, I think everyone has a unique story. It's just how do you leverage it? What opportunities are there? Are you going to go after it? Is it something that you're passionate about? Because I like talking. I don't know if you could notice, but I like talking. I like telling, and the easiest part is I like telling my story, because every time I tell my story to someone, they're always intrigued. So I know that it's interesting, at least from that perspective. Of course, not everyone's, they'll tune me out. Um, but for some people, I know it resonates. So I'm gonna double down on it.
100%, man. 100%. And in terms of like being too gatekeeping, so we'll double back.
Mhm.
And in terms like gatekeeping on powerlifting, this is where I think people got to also think about whom they might be keeping out of powerlifting, keeping out of the sport, because there are some people with massive followings and massive reaches, and we
Mhm.
don't know what their full capabilities are and who's going to see them, who they're going to bring to powerlifting, and what they might be able to do with their platform. Maybe not right away, but give
Mhm.
them time to mature and find their way. But sometimes we do throw around that's cringe, that's this, that's whatever a lot. I get it. I got you. But for some of these people that they're gatekeeping against, I don't know, man. I People talk about like culture. They're
Yeah.
trying to preserve a culture or preserve a what culture? What are we talking about? What do we? It doesn't really
Don't
impact us
let
like we.
Eric don't let Eric hear you say that.
We'll put it this way. Oh, Eric Helms.
Eric
I wasn't
Holmes.
even think. I wasn't even thinking about him when I was saying all this. Um,
No,
but
but
there's
yeah.
there's like some because it goes all around, right? You're thinking
Yeah.
about like trash talking and whatnot,
That's
but
right. I am. Yeah.
I was thinking more there are people who are gatekeeping some people who are coming in new to the sport who have followings, but they don't like how like they think they're cringe. They don't like how they do their followings, etc. How they've
Mm,
and on that note, I was saying sometimes like this reach can be capitalized on. In terms of trash talking,
yeah.
um, I also think like I don't I am not opposed to it at all. And think it does help no matter what. Put it this way. In terms of the trash talking, I remember Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell fought twice in their primes. Then they fought once as Chuck Liddell's 47 years old. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've seen this. It was off UFC. It was he came out.
Oh no, I never saw it.
Dog. He's got slurred speech. He never even should have been fighting. He fought Tito a third time. He whooped Tito the first times in their prime,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
when they're way past prime, they fought again, and Tito beat Chuck. Okay, small time pay per view, not UFC. And but Tito won as though he beat Chuck in his prime. And Tito's doing, he does the gravedigger celebration where he pretends to
Yeah.
dig a grave, pulls the body in and throws dirt on it. And he's like dancing around, whatever. And some people got extremely upset online on Tito saying like it's so disrespectful. Like Chuck was a not even close to what he used to be. And for you to blah, blah, blah. And they were going at Tito hard, right? And Chuck actually released a video and said, guys, he won. It's his time. Let him have it. I've had plenty of times. Huh?
Mhm.
And he was like, how many times did I stand over somebody and do my, his yell? He goes,
Yeah,
"Whoa,"
his
and the guy's unconscious in the background. He's like, how many times have we all celebrated? He's like, let him have his moment. He's like, it doesn't hurt me. If you're worried for me, it doesn't hurt me. I'm already that guy. That does let him have his moment.
Mhm.
And that's the confidence he's got with like everything he's already done, whatever. It's like, it's okay, guys, it's okay. Let him have his moment. We've got a lot of W's. This is not a tragic story. Don't worry.
Yep.
Um, so a lot of it is it's kind of like that too, right? Like when I see people having moments and whatnot, and people like, is that poor sportsmanship or is it whatever? Sometimes I'm like, sometimes it's just like let people have their moments. If it's sporting, if it stays sporting, it's like whatever. It's all in sports. It's drawing more attention to the sport. It's drawing more attention to some people like I don't like that. It's provoking emotion as well.
Mhm.
It's solidifying people on both sides. Now people don't like you because you celebrated this or celebrated that. It's actually pushing people to the other guy.
Yeah.
unintentionally when you didn't mean to, but it's also creating people to cause emotion. It's all sports is. It's all it is. It's just making everything more and more relevant, and
Mhm.
it's creating more stories, man. I don't know. That's another story that Chuck has, where he could retell that story. Only it would be like it's all about everybody's got a moment. There's always a morale to stories you bring in these speeches, but that's more realistic in life.
Yeah,
It's the sun ain't always shining. But you got to have perspective on things, man.
for sure.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. What do you feel about it all in terms of because you came in and initially you were one of the guys initially that there probably was some people who were like talking their shit, as you say. But when I think about it, fuck, was there a lot of guys before you?
Not really. I
Because
mean,
you know what, maybe not. Because Russ didn't till later. When Russ was going, like you won
no one talks
2019
shit.
Worlds.
No one talks shit.
When you won
No one.
2019 Worlds, you were all on it. Russ beat Brett, but he wasn't talking shit yet because it was Brett and they were 1-1. And
Yeah.
Russ really respects Brett.
Well, Russ even admitted this. He's like, I wasn't the stronger lifter on that day.
Yeah,
Or
he said that. Yeah.
I wasn't the stronger lifter. I was the stronger lifter on that day. And like that's where he's like, I still have work to do. So I'll sit here and be happy that I won, but I know that if Brett hit his lifts, he probably would have beat me. I think he's mentioned that before.
He's been on the podcast and said, he's like, I've surpassed Russ, or sorry, Russ has said I've surpassed Brett now. But he
Now,
said
yeah.
but he has said on the podcast previously, I think he was if you hook me up to a machine, him up to a machine, I think he would have more force output. I think he was stronger. But that's not how sports roll, huh? And
Right.
he stayed in the pocket, Russ
As
stayed in
we
the pocket, did
saw
his damn
at
thing.
Worlds, man.
It,
With
it is what
me.
it is. That's how sports go, right?
That's it.
So right. So anyways, doubling back to the point though, I think you might have been one of the first to when you're the man, you let everybody know you're the man. It moved people in different directions because you were the first. Now we're seeing a lot of other people do it. I had Joe Stanek on the podcast, and I remember 2019. He was uncomfortable with all this. Now he's like, it's different. We've all grown in certain areas where he's like, he feels differently. He's not like, let's talk shit. And he doesn't like to talk shit. That's not his
Mhm.
personality. But I think more and more people are like just more comfortable with it and more like, look at this part of the sport. It draws attention. When I say talk shit, I don't mean it depends. Go ahead, throw your 2 cents.
See, I just have an issue because I didn't start talking my shit until I backed it up completely. And I really didn't start talking my shit until I hit the 2021 838 and a half when I became, I guess, quote unquote, the best tested powerlifter. So
You were the best untested too, though. You had well in 75 kilo
in
untested. You were the number
75,
one.
yeah, but I
Yeah,
like John has that unlocked. So um I like I just think that a lot of these, like for example, I'm not going to mention names, but there was one lifter, and I think that the younger generation doesn't have enough accountability, in my opinion, because they underperformed. They were trying to beat me. They underperformed, and they were like, "I have a video ready. I had a video, and blah blah blah." Now I'm just trying like, and then they said towards the end of the meet, I was just trying to stay in the meet, and it's like if he can talk shit to me and say that he's going to beat me, but as soon as they underperform and I throw shade at them, I get casted as the villain. That's where I have an issue. It's the most bizarre thing I'm witnessing right now and being a part of is like we allow people to talk shit and it's okay. It's okay to talk shit if you back it up. If you back it up. Don't and this is where I think like you're very gracious with giving people your platform because Like they just want to get sound bites and they'll say some wild shit. And it's like, but and it just frustrates me because it gets now viral, quote unquote viral, and now I have to hear it if it's directed towards me. And it's just like, oh my God, who the fuck is this guy? I just found out about him because he was on King of the Lift. It's like, Ryan, stop.
The thing is,
so that's where I have an issue with talking shit. I don't have an issue with it. I have an issue with people talking it when they don't have credentials and they have nothing to back it up.
The thing is too, though, in terms of like, let's say, so okay, we to parse, if a contender's on his way up, though, there is something special about like
on their
Conor
way
McGregor
up.
on well, like
we're betting that their potential, and it's like, what happens if they never reach that potential? And now they just talk all that shit.
Right. So this is the thing. This is the dicey game being played. So if we look at it this way, if when Conor McGregor was on his way up and Muhammad Ali were on their way up, and I get it, we're talking about McGregor and Ali for God's sake, and the likelihood of becoming McGregor and Ali is, yeah, I get it, right? For anyone listening, yeah, that's fucking Muhammad Ali. That's pretty special example you're giving. But what I'm saying is though, if you have to your point, because a lot of people aren't going to make it that far, but when you're on the way up, if all of a sudden someone has that and they're talking and they're chest out, whatever, if they end up winning, it is a boom goes the dynamite. Oh my God, he did it. He actually lived up. He came in like completely brash and actually did his damn thing. You're right. Then all like that would be like, no, sorry. If that situation happens, everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like Muhammad Ali, Conor McGregor, that's when the dynamite explodes. And everybody is like, holy shit, I can't believe, like when McGregor and Aldo went on tour for McGregor's title shot, they went on world tour because Conor talked it up. And then when Conor blew him out in 15 seconds, everyone's like, holy shit, he was real. And then it's like,
but
then
he was Conor before that. Money. That just like,
but he didn't win the title yet. He didn't win the title yet. He's just a contender on the way up. And same with Ali. Ali was talking all this shit as a contender on his way to the title fight. 6-1 underdog against Sonny Liston. And then when he beat Sonny Liston, this is before Muhammad Ali was Muhammad Ali, remember. They call him the Louisville Lip. They thought like, this lippy kid, I can't wait to see you get your teeth punched out. And he was a 6-1 underdog. So when he beat Sonny Liston, it was like, no way, this guy's real. And then it becomes, fair. Oh my God.
That's a
however,
point.
It makes it special. However,
that's a good point.
To your point though, if you do talk this, it's become a little bit cheaper. Now everyone's talking for attention.
Yeah.
And like it's really easy to talk. Very easy to talk.
Annoying.
And then if you never win and you never reach that high, and I mean Muhammad Ali became the greatest of all time. I mean just win, period. Win one world title. If you never reach that high, then it's a little different. Then it's going to get old quick and you fall into a different category. However, so that's for like contenders on the way up. If you're taking shots at the current world champ and you may never get there, you know what I mean? Or you may or may not get there, but the world champ's getting annoyed. Like, okay, you're going to have to prove something soon because you're not winning these, right? On the flip side, keep in mind, if it's a hot take guy, like we'll say Chael Sonnen, whom never ended up winning the title and he fell short. He talked all this shit as a contender and he would be the example of the guy who never actually made it in winning the title. Came close, close enough that yes, there's a reason why people believe, but he never ended up winning. So he didn't turn into the Conor McGregor. He didn't turn into the Ali. He didn't have that moment. Oh my God, he did it. However, he ends up having a podcast. He's given hot takes, whatever, and he's still giving hot takes now, years after retirement. However, yes, he's talking shit at times, but the attention he brings to the sport and the individuals, I'm telling you, even as long as they're talking about you, it makes you relevant. As long as they're talking about you, it does though. It does though. I'm saying if they come on a podcast and everyone's like, can't wait to see what he says. And homeboy starts talking and it's you who's getting brought up. Everyone's talking about you. You could have retired after Worlds and if that guy still brings up things, you'll always be relevant. It's relevancy to a point. If the reason why they're talking about you is because you're the GOAT. Because you're the GOAT. If you were top 10 in the world, your take guy ain't talking about you. Ain't a hot take. Nobody, you understand what I'm saying? It's not a hot take because you're not that guy. You are relevant.
Yeah. No, it's fair. It's fair. It's fair.
You actually
you
need
won me
these
over.
guys.
You won me over.
It's true. I know it's tough, but it is true.
It is. It is because someone actually, I posted my deadlift, my 750 deadlift, like 10 times. One, because it's 750 pounds. And
you're kidding. I think Lane said it best when he's like, yeah, if I was an 74 and I deadlifted 750, I'm posting it on the guess what? It's Tuesday. Here's my deadlift.
That's right. So yes, that's why I posted. But two, the engagement is insane. Like I get stupid engagement on it every single time. And that's actually like a growth hack for those trying to get on social media. If you repost a post that does well every single time, like I get thousands of followers. I've gotten thousands of followers from just that post. 750 pounds. So
have I. Thank you.
Right.
Dog, I got a slow week. I'm gonna post you 750.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, kid.
I think that people get pissed about it because you're recycling old content, whatever it may be. But someone reached out to me. They were like, look, I wouldn't make fun of you for reposting this 10 times if you weren't who you are. And I was like, that's fair. That's fair. So you just reminded me of that. You reminded me of that.
It's true, yeah. It is like yeah, and it doesn't even matter. The only reason why they notice is because you're you. Other people repost their PRs that nobody cares about. Dude, it just brings more attention to it.
Yes.
There are new people coming into the powerlifting who weren't even around in 2021, which isn't that long ago. But it's true.
Like
and now they see you, and then they hear other people talking about your feet.
Well, I didn't even know this. Me posting about it because the transformation. I posted about the transformation from when my first powerlifting meet until 2021, where I had my best squat and deadlift performance. I put on 200 pounds on my squat and deadlift while staying in the same weight class. And Barbend actually wrote an article about it. Like,
yeah, you know who that is?
Expecting that.
It's Joe Whiteley. Joe Whiteley has been on the podcast. She's wrote articles for King of This as well. She commentates with me at the World Championships.
Yeah.
She commentates with me at Sheffield. She runs openpowerlifting.com. So she knows
she runs it.
Yeah, she's one of the people who runs it, actually. I shouldn't say her solo. She's a part of the team that does. She is so into powerlifting, Joe Whiteley, bless her. I like that's why I got her on the podcast. Like we do preview shows together.
Okay.
She's super into powerlifting.
That makes sense.
So she knows her. She's gonna give love. She's gonna give love, man. She knows who you are. And this is it. The real are gonna know who you are. And it's all good. You know what the worst is gonna be for you, Taylor?
When it's all
people
gone.
Stop talking about you. When people stop.
But that's why I'm trying to stay relevant, man, through other outlets.
That's why. Can I say something? Let Playboy come on the podcast and talk his talk as long as they talk.
I'm back. I'm back.
That's as long as they talking. As long as they're talking. But yeah, it's I don't know. It is tough though. This is okay. First off, let's talk about powerlifting for a second here and what's next for you. Before we dive into all these other things too.
Yeah.
What is next? How are the injuries? Because obviously super duper injured for Sheffield. Strength there was still some issues for Worlds, but nowhere near as bad. And what are we looking at now?
I feel great, man. Knee is healing up really well. I'm actually going for an MRI tomorrow just to see structurally what's going on in there. Because it's still not 100% healed, but like I'm squatting well into the 500s and no pain. I just want to know if there's anything structurally going on in there. So, gonna get an MRI tomorrow. Everything else is feeling good, man. Like I'm in a very good mental state. Physically, I feel 20, 100 million times better. Um, so health wise, yeah, I'm I'm back. I'm
That's
back.
good.
So I'm hoping that we can string together some good training here, knock on wood, nothing else pops up. Um, Hopefully, like I haven't like SBD has been silent so far in terms of Sheffield wildcards, so I don't know what's happening there. So I'm preparing for nationals, PA Nats, and I don't know when that is. I think it's maybe March.
I'd
Um,
have to double check myself, but yeah.
but March next 2024. So I have some time, but right now I'm really just trying to get healthy. I'm working on my tan and my beach bod.
Get
And
that
for those
engagement up.
watching this,
Get
that
that
skin
engagement
is
up, kid.
looking great right now. So yeah, I'm doing everything in my power to just like enjoy lifting again, get 100% healthy, and then string together some good training. But right now, there's nothing immediate in the future in terms of powerlifting that I'm doing. So the next one will be March, potentially PA Nats.
Which is the best case scenario for you who had dealt with some injuries to be like, let me just come back healthy without having to push, without a big turnaround. You have oodles of time. Oodle,
Yeah.
anything could happen from now until then. In terms of like getting right back at it.
I just want to make sure that we are smart about it because when I hit my 838 and a half, I literally had like I had some hiccups here and there. Um, but I had like a good solid year of training, like hard as fuck.
Mm.
So I, I think to get back to those levels, I'm really going to have like a solid year under my belt, to surpass that because my body responds very well to training. So knowing that I have already hit that, I think that with some solid, maybe like a good 12 weeks under my belt, I can get back to that 838 and a half like quickly. But surpassing it, it's going to have to be a little longer than that. So I'm hoping to get back to 100% here very quick, full body, and then hit it. Yeah, get ready for PA Nats.
Here's something that I liked. After Worlds, during Worlds, there was like a couple controversial calls, whichever way
Yeah.
people want to go with those calls, right? We don't got to dissect it because I'm sure it's been beaten to death on a million platforms. But there was controversial calls, and um, you instead, and obviously when you're in the heat of the moment, I can only imagine what it probably feels like in your shoes. And instead of going onto a platform, drawing focus on that, and instead of making it about your controversial calls or whatever, instead of that, you did a very classy post. Like you're Taylor Atwood. You know, you're the pound for pound king, you're the GOAT. And you made a classy post tagging Calle, congratulating him and
Mm-hmm.
saying, congratulations, wasn't my day. You know, I'm saying verbatim, but something along the lines of hats off to the kid, had a great day, nine
Mm-hmm.
for nine, whatever.
Which
And
he had 20,000 taps. So you're welcome, Callie.
which is insane, first off, which is insane.
Nah,
And
he
then
deserved it though, man. Like
right,
again, it's bigger than me. It's I'm not gonna dwell. I'm the Chuck Liddell, right? Like let him have his moment, man, because he deserves it. He executed 9 for 9. Like that's a phenomenal fucking day. Um, and I don't like what others have said. I'm not even gonna mention names because I don't want to give him a platform. But they're throwing shade at him because they think that well they are stronger than him, but like give the man some credit. Like he's an up and comer. Um, so he did phenomenal. I have nothing but good things to say. He's a great kid. Um, he came up to me immediately before the meet, was like, "Yo, goat," like just very respectful. Um, and I regurgitate what I'm given, right? Like we were competing. Like I could have been an asshole to him, but he was very nice. He was respectful to me. So I'm gonna be respectful to him. And that's how it's the golden rule, man. I live by it. And that's if I'm gonna reciprocate the same energy I'm given. So whether that's good or bad, I don't know, indifferent, but I like he's such a humble kid. He has a great team around him. He has a great coach. He has a great future ahead of him. I'm looking forward to competing against him again. And yeah, I was very again, I was unhappy with the outcome, but like he beat me fair and square. Like we were operating under the same rules. We had the same judges, whether they were biased or not, I don't know. Um, but he executed and I didn't. So I'm not going to sit here and fucking play the violin for myself. I'm going to dust my shoulder off, get back up, and hop on the fucking path to succeed again.
And that's exactly what you. So, and like you said, we had a conversation afterwards, and you were like, "Give me some time with this one," because obviously you haven't lost at Worlds since 2017.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Give me some time with this." That's what you're supposed to do. For anyone listening, we've seen people go straight to social media right off the bat, and it's like, don't do that. You're gonna regret some of the things you say. Like digest it, especially if like you win, always win, and then
Yeah.
finally something happens, and it's like,
Look, I'm going to
just
be real. I'm going to be real. I think the squat should have been called good. The deadlift was iffy, 100%. I don't care. I don't mind getting the red lights. That's fine. The red lights on the squat though, that was like I don't know. I don't know.
me neither.
And
I don't
and
know
when
how.
you look
I
at
don't know how you
and
got red lights.
when you look at my knee, like I feel like having the judges in the back room when I'm warming up would be phenomenal. Having someone there, like, yeah, that's good. That's okay. Because it's just the way that I'm anatomically built. Like I was looking at my knee again. Like I have such large quads and hamstrings that it looks like my knee is not fully locked out when I'm literally contracting the fuck out of my quad. Like that's what I was doing because they kept calling me for soft knees. I wasn't fully locked out before the squat. And even deadlifts, same thing. They call me on soft knees. So it's like I need someone to understand. They need to understand as well that biologically that's just how you're built. I don't know. I can't fix that. Same thing with Gavin. He's had some squat depth issues, but it's like there's certain things that I think to the naked eye, you can't call in real time. Uh, right. Because I have never been called for soft knees. I can't remember a meet I've been called for soft knees, but this meet out of nowhere. And I'm going to stop talking about my injuries too, because I think that plays a factor as well. I have such a huge platform. People like from different nations, I'm not going to mention, they tried to get us banned because we did the Olympic, me and Delaney went to
Delaney, yeah.
Olympia. They tried to get us banned, other nations, right? And then that gets back to potentially the judges about, oh, Taylor's injured. Watch for this, watch for that. He looks like he's squatting a little high, blah, blah, blah. Fuck that. I'm going to keep that shit under wraps from now on because I think that is a true bias. And I've never, Ryan, I haven't missed a squat from Sheffield. We'll go prior to Sheffield. I haven't missed a squat since 2015.
What
And
is that
I
right?
didn't go on Powerlift or USA
Yeah, open powerlifting.
data. Well, not just open Powerlift. Go on USAPL database. Look up. You'll see it. From 2015, I bombed at the Arnold, and I vowed to myself and Jason I won't miss another squat. And
Oh
until
my god.
Sheffield, my third attempt, I had not missed a squat attempt. I was 3 for 3 coming out of squats since 2015.
Holy shit! I never knew that. That's a crazy stat.
It is. And that's where I had an issue of like, I haven't missed a fucking squat since 2015. And you guys are gonna call me on this bullshit now? It just didn't make it sense. And it was wild. It was the most bizarre session I had ever been a part of from that perspective, in bizarre worlds, like having the jury overturn a lot of things. It was just, yeah, it was an unprecedented meet in terms of that. Like, but again, I'm not going to sit here on my violin. It is what it is. We have to adjust as athletes going forward. And if the judges and juries unit are going, if that's how it's going to be officiated going forward, like we have to have higher standards. So, but again, it's like I looked at the footage just over and over again, and I don't know for this from a squat perspective, I don't know what was wrong with it. Again, the deadlift was very sketchy. So yeah, I'm not unhappy about the Reds there, but I was super unhappy with the squats for sure.
It's the squat. Look, I'll tell you straight up, the squat was clean, and I got no idea.
But
I
that's
don't know
what
what to
hurt the
tell you.
most, right? It's like coming out of squats, it would have been confidence a lot higher. Um, but it is what it is.
And this is the thing. This is a tough thing with sports. Calls go different ways and change everything. And it is this is this happened every sport, and it's going to happen eventually. Is it? I don't know. I don't know what's easier to because you've had some extremely successful runs. What you just said, that stat you just said, since Arnold's 2015 until Sheffield, you hadn't missed a single squat. And people taking into account, you're talking national and world level
National,
for
international. That's right.
yeah, like the craziest of levels. And then even like what I said earlier, you hadn't lost at the world championships period since 2017.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you were like, this is a hell of a run. That's why when this finally happens, it's a big deal. It happened in terms of like it's always going to be difficult no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you're going to take an L at the world stage, right? Eventually it's going to happen at some point. Was it like was it world ending like you thought, or was it like harder than you thought, easier than you thought, not as bad, or was it now that you look back and had some time to digest this and take it all in because you are the most successful powerlifter we know?
Yeah, I'll be 100% transparent here. It was gut wrenching. I knew that Calle had a lot more in his deadlift, and coming out of the third squat, I didn't know how much Calle was going to be able to deadlift, but coming out of the third squat, I was like, damn, we just lost 7.5 kilos. That's huge. Like they only beat me by half a kilo. Think about that. Now again, Calle had probably a good chunk of left in him, but nonetheless, like still 7.5. That's huge. So when I missed the third deadlift, I knew it was over. I I was like, it's done. And I was just in the back, like hoping that maybe Calle would drop it or he would get called on a technical issue, something. And when he pulled the 328, it was like, damn, he probably had like a good 10 to 12 and a half left in him. Maybe more, I don't know. But um when I was in the back room and I officially had like Calle won, it was tough, man. That was one of the hardest worlds. Like 2017, there were things that like I didn't know Kel was gonna be as strong as he was. And he just mopped the floor with us. So like it didn't sting as bad. It's like, all right, just back to the drawing board. This one was like under the circumstances, it was just you didn't lose because you weren't strong enough. You essentially lost because you weren't technical. And that one again hurt because I had the same shit happen to me and I lost the world championship in 2016 the same way on the last deadlift. And to lose again where I vowed to myself in that championship I wouldn't lose on technical again. and I did, it's like, you said you weren't going to let it happen again, and you did. You didn't hold yourself to a higher standard. And over the past month, I've really had to dig deep and motivate myself differently and think of, like, again, I had to pull myself out of the situation and think more broad and think bigger, because again, Calle, like, he deserved it. This could catalyst him somewhere else, catapult him somewhere else. And it was his time. He was supposed to win. It was supposed to happen how it was supposed to happen. And I'm still getting my opportunity to do something outside of powerlifting that I do have a passion for. I like talking. I like motivating. I like inspiring people. That's like what I'm trying to do with my platform right now. Um, and when I was like, some of the most viewed videos were the ones where I was talking about motivation and like getting beyond myself with my mindset, getting beyond what was going on physical, but now transpiring with my mind. And people loved it when I was leading into the Sheffield, because I was really going through it at the Sheffield, going through those 3 months from January to March. And it was like the motivation levels were so high. And now, again, I lost. It's like I sat there for maybe like 3 days, like, woe is me. Why did this happen to me again? Why? Like, and then I talked to my dad. I talked to my mom. I talked to my wife. I had some good times with families and friends, my son, and I started to see the bigger picture. Then that happened with the senior exec, and just things like people, when I lost, you know what also resonated with me? When I lost, people still were like, "You're still my GOAT." I was like, damn. I got third place. Like, I lost in my mind. But people are still saying, yo, don't worry about it. I still support you. You're still my GOAT. I was like, dang. So when I let everything kind of pass, I took the bigger picture. Um, the same night I posted about Calle, that was just off the cuff. That was non-emotional, but it just felt right. And I was like, you know what? This is the right thing to do. He deserved that win. Well deserved. I think I remember I said well deserved win to deadlift Miyagi, his handle. I was like, I'll come back stronger next time, I promise. And that is a promise. I'll come back stronger. I'll give my all to this still. But like, it was gut wrenching for the first few days. It didn't sit well in my stomach. I was moping around, but I would say over the last 4 weeks, I've really had the time to let it marinate, let it sink in, build a bridge, get over it, but motivate myself to another level, put my mind on another level as well. And that's the Taylor Atwood brand. It's, if you fall off your horse, get back on it, ride it some more. You're going to fall off again, but it's not about falling off and how bad you get hurt. It's a matter of getting back on the horse and continuing on that journey. So that was it. I'm going to continue down this journey. I'm not giving up. I'm not quitting. I'm not a quitter. It's not in my blood. It's not who I am. It's not the brand. And that is what I want others to get from what happened to me at Worlds. I lost, but I'm taking it on the chin, and I'm not going to let it define me. A loss is actually going to make me better, and I'm going to show you how. So I'll talk about it, and I'll have a framework put together that I'll be sharing. But that is the Taylor Atwood I want people to recognize and to really resonate with. Is not only is he lost, but he's still the best in my eyes because of his character and his perseverance. And his unwillingness to give up. That's what I want people to get from Taylor Atwood. And that was it for the last month. That was it. That is what my mindset has been, coming out of that loss.
Dude, it's funny because in the last year, you've almost turned, like, for some people, because this was the year that you've like opened up, started becoming more vulnerable, you had said previously, I remember in the end of 2022, you're like, you were hinting at, I
Yeah.
want to start showing like open up. And then and you were warming up to it, but not yet. Then Sheffield rolled around, and Road to Sheffield, people told their stories. And then the KOTL podcast that followed, people really opened up. And
Mm-hmm.
then you were like, this is it. And your first off, like, for some people following your story, the character development has been, don't get stagnant in your character. Your character development on your story has been phenomenal, first off. And people who originally would like, yeah, he's always winning, he's always the king, flashing his smile, etc. And then once you lose, some people, it's like a character arc that people don't see coming. Where if you lose and then people start piling on, other people, all of a sudden the heel goes babyface, and people are like, oh my God, I didn't see this coming. And now people are going to be like, they're like, Taylor, I hope Taylor comes back. I want Taylor to come back and shut that guy up. I want Taylor to come back, get revenge on this guy. I want Taylor to come back. All of a sudden it becomes, holy smokes, I didn't see this coming. Because forever, the guy who's winning is like, okay, I'm having enough of this guy winning. I want to, like, this guy's got to lose. Someone else got to have their day. And then when it happens, and then all of a sudden other people jump in and start piling on, it's that character arc. It's the storyline twist where all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
people are like, all right, but enough though. He's got to come back. And all of a sudden it opens up another avenue where you're like, oh wow, okay. So am I an underdog now? Been a while
Yeah.
since that was me. And all of a sudden, like, well, how do I feel about the underdog role? Do I
I
have the
love it.
pressure on me now? Or does other people have pressure on them? That's kind of funny. Am I the old guy people are writing off, and other people like, don't write them off? Don't, like, oh, I'm vulnerable. I'm vulnerable with my story. I'm vulnerable on the platform. And now you guys see me like that. Now people even want to protect me. People want to. I told you about the story. I was at dinner with the French team, and I
Tiff.
had mentioned the Nick Manners podcast, and Turbo, and someone said something that Nick said, and Turbo Tiff was there. It's like, who said that about Taylor? And she was like, what did he say about Taylor? Easy. All right. Enough of the conversation. I don't want to get Turbo wound up. But
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I'm thinking about getting dual citizenship within France, and I'll start lifting for the France team.
dude, but it is a different, it's a, you got to enjoy the different arcs that life gives you. The story, as stories unfold, your story changes, and then you change and you develop as well. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe I'm just assuming a new role here. You're the elder statesman who bridges two different eras in powerlifting, maybe three at this point. In that alone, certain people will be like, if a new young guy comes up, or several of them in this case, all of a sudden they're like, no, hang on, brother, one more, give us one more. Like, it starts becoming that. Everyone sees that with all their idols. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I went from being like Jordan is prime to now I'm a sympathetic figure, and you were rooting for me like that, huh?
Mhm.
Am I the comeback gang Ali now? Am I the comebacking? Like, oh, you guys see me different now. And you're gonna rush to defend and whatever. Like, it's different. And maybe, I don't know. It's just, and in yeah, it's interesting how it works. And then the young guys might come up, and maybe they're young and brash. Or maybe they're not. Like, Callie's definitely not. Um, I'll just say his name. Like, Perk is young and brash, but
Mhm.
but it is what it is. But he will still like refer to you as the GOAT in whatever. But he feels like this is my time now. And who knows, maybe it's gonna end up being Perk's time. But it's interesting how, like, it's interesting how the storylines play out, and how it all unfolds, and how you can embrace your role and start becoming something else for other people now. Now
Yeah.
in your second half, you're something else for these people. Now you could like, how do you feel? Like, are you like, fuck, maybe I'm the underdog comebacking. I'm the Rocky movie where he's coming back and
I
let someone else
love
carry
that,
that.
by the way. I need that. I'm tired of now being called the GOAT and this and that. Like, I felt like I was the underdog in 2021 still. Um, I hit 812, but people were like, oh, he can't do more than that. Like, he's got these other young 74s are coming after him. And I'm like, okay, motherfuckers. Okay. Keep watching. Keep watching the work. Keep watching the work. And that's where I'm at again. Everyone's still writing me off. Okay, motherfuckers. I'm getting on my David Goggins shit. Okay, motherfuckers. Count me out.
Is it,
Count me out, motherfucker.
does it feel it's motivating and pressure wise? Is it different now being like, holy smokes, if I'm an underdog and someone else has got to carry the pressure to like now when you roll into these meets, would it be different now? Because previously it's different when people like you're expected to win.
Mhm.
And now if people expect someone else to win, and it's been
Yeah.
forever that that's happened. Does that feel different? Are you not sure because you're not close to a competition yet? So you're like, it's still hard to
Yeah,
conceive.
I don't know. Like the last two meets aren't really indicative of how strong I am. So everyone says that like, oh, he's washed up, he's this. It's like, dude, I'm hurt. Like, what do you what do you
Not
mean?
everyone says that. Not everyone says that.
All right,
You said
I
everyone.
keep talking in
So,
absolutes.
yeah.
Some
But I know you.
people, some people
Yeah.
keep iterating that, and they're like, it's my time, it's this and that. Right now, you are stronger because I am injured, not because you. I don't. I can't. I, the thing that's frustrating now, I'm biting myself in the ass. I wish I would have hit that 200 bench because 843.5 would have been real nice right now. But it's like but it's
I would have
like
raised it, raised the bar a little higher. God damn it. See,
god dang it. It's
I
always
left the
but
door open.
it's a double-edged sword, Ryan, where like I come out of that meet, I'm the best quote unquote ever, and god damn it, I missed my third bench. It's
Right.
like not we're not focused on you just absolutely smashed everybody and smashed every formula and you're the best ever. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you jumped the command, you dumbass.
The years later,
Ah,
yeah.
years later, right. Um, but like I don't know. I can't. I, I do like being the underdog. I've always been the underdog. That's how I operate. I think that's why I'm so competitive because I've always been casted as you're either too short for the NFL. I'm white. Uh, you're not fast enough. You're not quick enough. Um, you're not smart enough. You're not this. You're not that. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna prove you fucking wrong. And that's what I've done my entire life. That's my mindset. And that's why I'm so competitive. It's like when I think it was Dana White who said, tell me I can't do something. Tell me. I want motherfuckers to bet against me. And I like the last 6 months, I couldn't really have that mentality because I was being limited by a physical ailment. So I couldn't perform and talk shit. But if I like, it's easy. What who said it? Jordan. It's easy to talk shit when you're up in the fourth
Mm.
quarter. It's tougher to talk shit when you're down, right? And that's where I'm at right now. I'm still gonna talk my shit. I still am the best. And even if someone beats my total, okay, right now this year it may be your time. But it's because you had 2 years to catch up. You're welcome, by the way. And I haven't been at my best. So yeah, okay. Right now is your time. Just wait. Just wait.
Do you think Joe Stinnett said they might not even Perk might not even weigh in at 74 kilos, and I couldn't believe he was
Nah, I'm
like,
not
well,
getting
he's got to.
into that. Yeah,
What shouldn't he weigh 74 kilos for the
I
record?
don't know. I don't know. He's
Wouldn't
do
you?
do what you want, man.
Fair enough, fair enough. But for me, the historical significance of the record, which is one of the most celebrated records, you know, records are made to be broken. I'd be like, why would you not go 74 for the record? But that's just me. Like historically, the historical relevance is huge. Obviously, someone eventually at some point is going to break your record.
Mhm.
Obviously, at some point, this is sports. Records are made to be
Yeah,
broken, right?
and that's that. Yeah,
Like,
that's right. That's right. Like
of
records,
course.
records are meant
Like
to be broken. I've never
it's
sat here and
powerlifting.
yeah, I've never sat
Yeah,
here and said like my record will never be broken.
right. But
Um,
I'm just shocked that someone wouldn't focus on that. Like maybe they are, but I just wasn't sure. That was surprising to me that he was like maybe they don't. But
I
if
don't
it
know.
does, if down the line if somebody breaks your record, do,
Mhm. I think it's
is it
inevitable. I think look, Calle is what 21 and he's hitting
he's young.
780 or yeah, he's really young. So like I think that it's inevitable, man, especially when more money is going to start coming into this sport because I think that's inevitable as well. I think the sport's going to absolutely take off. Um I mean shit, we got on Eurosport. We were on the Olympic channel. Like if people don't think that this sport is going to be big, they're blind, they're ostrich, they have their head in the ground, and they're again trying to keep it fucking to themselves. Powerlifting's mine, powerlifting's mine. And it's like, dude, just let it go. It's going, it's going. You're if you don't get on, the train's left the station. See ya.
Mm.
Like it's here. Like it's right now. And it just frustrates me to no end when people keep us in that bucket. But yeah, like I think that it's inevitable. The sport's going to grow. The more money that comes in, people will start having to contemplate what sports they start playing when they're in high school, and they might focus on just weightlifting. So, and the way that uh, I think it was Bryce Lewis, someone put up a graph. Maybe it was Pete Spence. Someone put up a graph of totals by age and how it's progressed over time, and totals are getting broken at a younger age. And I think that's due to strength and conditioning coaching. I think that's due to genetic uh, potential and more athletes coming over from different sports. And I think that it's just inevitable that, like, I would like to think that I was potentially, I'm not equating myself to him, but I would like to potentially be that gap of like a Michael Jordan, where it was the old school to new school, where I was a part of the old school generation, but I also still am relevant and still pushing the limits of what the body can do and strength limits. Um, and no one else has done it naturally. So you're capable of doing it. And that's what I felt like Michael Jordan did is like he bridged the old school to the new school. He was that hybrid athlete. And it also didn't help that also didn't hurt that he was a 6-time NBA champion in a row. But it's like that's what I want to be known as. It's like I was the gap of potentially having people think that if Taylor can do it, I can do it too. And that's another big piece of it, right? I think it's the 4 minute miler. I forget what that effect
It's the
is,
4 minute
but
mile. Yeah, yeah.
the
When,
4 minute
when
mile, when someone broke that 4 minute, numerous other people started breaking it because they now were like, it's not this facade or this spectacle of untouchable. It's like this guy did it. I can do it too. Why not? right? That's what I want. And I talk to others about this as well. Is like, stop limiting your mind. Again, mindset. And whatever I say, it may not be for everybody. Again, but for those that do understand and whatever I say resonates with them, it's for you. But like, I was talking to someone who I'm not going to mention, but talking to someone about squatting 800 as a 74. It's like, why not? Why not? I've Did anyone think I was going to beat a 83 as a 74? Come close?
Hmm.
Not until it was actually almost done. And now we're talking about it. And now others potentially might do that. Right? And it's
Mm.
that's the barrier that I want to set for break through for others. Is like, I was the first to 800, and then we saw others hit 800, and that's like, holy shit. I was the first that almost beat an 83. Now we're talking about other 74s beating an 83, and it's like, holy shit. So these things wouldn't be talked about, I think, unless I did it first. And that's not me hopping on a high horse, or I'm stating a fact. If you can't handle the facts, then okay, call me cocky, call me whatever you want. But it's just a fact. It is what it is. And that's again, we have to, as a community, get beyond that. We have to start thinking bigger. How can we grow this thing to a UFC size, to an NFL football size, to an NBA size? Because that's where my mindset is at. That's what I want. I want to be a multi-billion-dollar business one day where everyone eats, where my son can potentially do this as a career, you know, make money on this. Why not? How fun would it be to be able to lift weights all day? I fucking love it, you know? So if I have to pave the way, fine, so be it. But that's where, again, I want you as the listener and all the community that's listening, stop limiting your mindset. Think as big as you want. You can achieve anything. You just have to do the work. That's where, like, you want to be a part of the 1%, fucking do 1% work. You're afraid of that. That's what most people don't want to do. It takes a lot of fucking work. And some people shy away from it. 99% shy away from it. I'm trying to get into the 1%. I really am. I think this speaking engagement is really going to help me achieve that. But I'm thinking big. I'm not thinking in powerlifting anymore, powerlifting terms. I'm going to use that as my platform. And I really hope you guys support me. But I'm thinking fucking, there's 9 billion people on this planet. That's what I'm thinking. That's 9 billion people. Think about how big that market is. That's what I want. I want to be able to touch 9 billion people. Call me crazy. I don't care. But that's where my mind is. So how do I do that? I'll figure it out.
And let me also say, in terms of speaking engagement, um, okay, first off, as far as your story's already gone, it's pretty crazy when people find out who it was you're talking to them, the organization. But no matter
And
what,
make
dog,
sure you X that name out.
I'm gonna exit out. Don't worry, I'm gonna bleep it out. But you you should be doing this anyways. Like Delaney's, even if that doesn't happen, Delaney's now doing. I told Delaney, you just show up, not even for pay. Be like, hey, I want to do some speaking. Here's who
Mm-hmm.
I am. Here's my resume, and here's my story, real quick. A little pitch, like a one pager pitch, and then you do 5 minutes, 15 minutes, half hours. I've done these
Yeah, I'll
and
do it
get
for
the video.
free.
Yeah, and you do it at Business Chamber of Commerce, whatever. You find your role. I was doing these, dog. And you get digital assets created from it that you use that Delaney's doing that you've seen him post online, and you
Yep.
get more made. And then
Mm-hmm.
and things just spiral. So whatever the case, I think you, even if this guy just stimulated your mind to do it, whether or not this transpires or not, you now know you should be doing this. Okay. The excitement you had, you need to pursue and go down that pathway. So there's that. Anyways, it's not
Yep.
hinging on just this individual. talking about we had talked about eras on a previous podcast. Yeah, I know you heard that podcast.
Yeah.
It's
I
so
appreciate
unique because,
your passion.
well, I mean, look at that.
You're my
I'm a
man.
passionate guy. I
You're
get
my
wound up.
dog.
Okay, well done. But it is also the uniqueness of it that you bring in terms of your story. But you got to remember too is like records and weight classes fall pretty much every single year. Like a world record, squat, total record, whatever the hell. These fall. But what was unique to your story that when you tell your story, you really have to lean into when you do tell it, is the fact that what is constituted you, people have an era in their weight class.
Mhm.
Okay, and we've seen that. We're like, okay, you were the best in your weight class for this period. Well, your story was unique because you had every single formula tested and untested in your weight class, and you had best lifter at the world champ. You were best lifter at the biggest meet. You were the undisputed, however you could look at it, period, pound for pound, best in the sport.
Mhm.
That is right now in that same episode we are trying to discuss. Do we see that now in terms of like if someone breaks a record or whatever, it's hard to see this coming again. It was a special moment. I don't know if that's going to come around. It's going to come around eventually. That's the special moment where a guy comes and he's like, I own every single formula. I own the world record tested and untested, and I'm the best lifter at the world championships 2 times over, however, like it's that. I've won it all. And that's you were the outlier of all outliers when you know that in that moment. That is what you got to nail home. And I don't know when's the next time we're going to see that happen.
I didn't even know that was a possibility until I started in 2021, that performance, until maybe 2 weeks out when I was coming up with the game plan with Jason and Matt Gary. We were like, you realize what you're about to do, right? Because I was just training, right? Like I wasn't thinking about the outcome. I was just like, I want to destroy these weights every time I step foot into this gym. That's what I'm going to do. And whatever the outcome is the outcome. And that was it. I wasn't thinking like I want to have the best dots. I want to have the best total, blah, blah, blah. Like it's not my mindset. Like I talked about this before. I don't chase being number one. I chase to be my own. And again, like people took that and were like, I don't understand. This is retarded, blah, blah, blah. It's not for you, big dog. It's not for you. I don't chase number one. I chase to be my own. I don't cage me into this arbitrary cage. Don't do that. That's not who I am. I don't put limits on myself. I don't chase things. I just try to get better every single meet, and whatever happens, happens. So to your question, my answer is I don't know. I'm just gonna continue to work and do what my body is capable of doing. And if that's to hit 838.5 again or more, then so be it. If not, then I had a great ride and we're gonna do some other great things. But I can't tell you that when that is. I'm doing everything that I can to get 100% healthy and get back to those levels. Don't get it twisted. But I don't know when that is. Who knows? Maybe I get another flare up in a couple months and I'm actually going to take some time off and 100% get healthy. So maybe that's a year and a half off. Maybe I come back in 2 years. Right? I don't know. So
Maybe come back
again,
commentating, man. You murdered it on
oh
commentating.
yeah. Listen,
There's other things you
regardless
got to start doing.
if I take a break from lifting, I'll never take a break from powerlifting. Like I
Okay, good.
will, if that makes sense. Like the community itself, like I'll hop on here, I'll co-commentate with you, I'll
Yeah.
be a podcaster with you. Like
Yeah.
I would absolutely love staying within the community because it's given me so much and afforded me so many opportunities that if I didn't give back and I didn't give my time, um, I'd be doing a disservice.
Dude, you murdered it on commentary.
I
You
appreciate it.
you did really, you got to do more of that. I know, like as an athlete, but like in the future, that's
Well, I
for
feel
like
like I'm
all
Tony
this,
Romo on
well, all the like the speaking engagements and all that. Like as you start eyeballing up these other avenues, that should be on your checklist. Is leaning into those opportunities when they arise, because I'm telling you, it's a unique thing as well. Some people go on and they try to podcast more, they're podcasty type. Some people go on and they just it's more difficult than people think when it's live.
yeah.
And 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 you fit the role good. And there's a cadence to it. There's a difference. People will notice when they listen to the podcast, the way I talk, and when you see me in real life. And then when you hear me online doing commentary, like I'm still sound like my voice, but there's going to be a different cadence to it here and there when I do certain things. And you could see where you started leaning in and being like, I'm like, oh, my man he's getting it. Sometimes you hear some like, oh, he's got it. Yeah, he's and you found your beats too. There's beats where I'll purposely drag things out. I'll purposely pause and let the build. And sometimes my feels the pause and wants to talk in there. I'm like, I was pausing on purpose. I'm trying to build this. Like, you're stepping on my toes here. I'm trying to actually build this up. But you found the beats and knew, like, it was good. I could tell. I can tell when this happens.
I
I
appreciate
could
it.
tell when someone's just talking too much. Like, man, it's not a podcast. You don't got to keep talking, or you don't got to try to be funny. You can be funny if it's there, but you don't have to try to interject person. Just find yourself. It's okay. It was natural to you.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I think I could bring a different perspective to the commentating portion of any meet just because I'm an athlete. And I've been on the highest of stages now, Worlds and Sheffield. So I know what it's like to be the athlete. I know what they're feeling. So I can empathize with all the lifters on that stage. I've been there, and I think bringing the audience that perspective is not that you don't have that, Ryan. It's just like it's different coming from like the levels that I've been at within
for
powerlifting.
sure, man.
It's just
Yeah.
different. And
Oh,
you, I
100%.
can't do, and I can't do things that you do. So I think that
That's what the
like
co that's
you and I work very well together.
that's what the co is in most sports, is like the retired athlete. The lead is, so some people I've had conversations. So I'm a nerd when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? So I've had conversations with people about like the Sabato boys when I was doing a podcast with them, and I was talking about like commentating and whatnot. And I was talking about the lead and the co, in the lead's job and the co's job. And then my man's Joey was like, yeah, you know who my favorite lead is though? And he's saying some UFC guys like Daniel Cormier or whatever, like he's a
Yeah,
co. Or Joe Rogan. I'm like, Joe Rogan's a co. No, John Anik is the play-by-play, and I think he's the only play-by-play they use every single time. That's the lead, and everyone else is the co. And I'm like, I am so into it. I know what the lead role is and what the co role is, and when they overstep each other, everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's trying to lead, but he should just let the lead and stay in the co." And it actually works better when they both fall into their places. And to your point, in terms of what you bring, like often, yeah, like that's the perfect guy. Is the former world champ athlete. You've bombed, you've won.
yeah,
So when someone bombs, you could be like, I've been there, listen to me.
dude.
And
I've
you
had
could
the
say
highs
things
and
like,
lows of
yes,
everything.
you have it all. You have it all. And you could speak to it. But you also speak to it in a moment of, it's on a podcast. We don't want a 20-minute story, and you know that too. It's
Yeah,
very difficult. It's so difficult to be able to say stories, but not make it about yourself too much. You never did that either, even though you're freaking Taylor Atwood. People would listen and be like, is that Taylor? Yeah, it is. But you weren't making it like referring to yourself or your stories all the time, right? It's very difficult. It's a tough one for people to grasp sometimes, to do it all of what I just said and be able to make it work.
yeah.
And you
We can
usually
do
it
it.
takes a few times out. And you went the first time out, and I was like, oh. And
I
I
was
showed
enjoying it,
you,
man. I loved it.
some DMs I got, and also I had conversations afterwards with the fellas running the stream, and I was like, holy, my man, I looked at him like, my man killed it, didn't he? And they're like, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Like, oh, whoa.
No, I
But
appreciate it, man.
yeah, it's exciting. You got some exciting stuff in the future. But yeah, in terms of going back to the eras story, we'll see.
Yeah.
We don't know. We'll have people who, in the future, different people take over different divisions, maybe in 83 or 66 or friggin' 105.
Yeah.
But will that person become at some point wherever they come from, or 74? But will that person take all the formulas, do all the whatever? That's what's interesting. We don't,
Maybe.
where part of the world will they come from? All the rest of it. This is where, like, when will we see that happen again? It's exciting to be in. And could it be yourself if you come back
Well,
and
this is the
you're
thing
100%?
is it going to be the same? Like
It
in
won't be the
terms,
same, but that's okay. It won't be. And you know what? Here's what it is. It won't be the same, but it'll still, people bring back the last time we saw it. And that's why it's okay. It'll
because
never
like,
be the same
listen,
because it's a different era.
yeah, it's different, but it's like when I saw Ray squat over 1,000 pounds for the first time in 2016, and then I saw Jesus do it, like it just, and no disrespect to Jesus, but it just didn't hit the same. It's like, damn, Ray was the first 1,000 pound squatter. Like, what? We saw it on Sports Center. He got fucking
Yeah.
millions of views. Now again, Jesus, he did it not once, he did it twice in the
Well,
same meet.
like his Sheffield performance transcended as well. Here's what it is. Here's to your point. I know the point you're making is there when someone has that performance that is so special, because you didn't just like break the record by a little bit. Your
Yeah,
performance was
destroyed it.
destroyed it, where people, like, you were so far ahead of everyone else, like as it were. We don't know what Perk does, but like 2 years ahead, as it were, 2.5 years ahead, or whatever the heck it's going to be. Like, you were years ahead of the rest of the field, not just in your weight class though, but all of the field, like your dots, your whatever. People are still trying to hit the same like
Yeah,
formulas you
yeah,
hit years later. Like, you were years ahead on whatever metric. Will we That's where the performance is. It'll be tough to see that. But when eventually that happens, where it's not like someone breaks a record by a little bit or the dots by a little bit, but actually comes in, does a Ray Williams squatting 1,000 and is so far ahead, or does like what you did with the formulas and records where they're so far ahead. When it does happen, to your point, like, it has to be something dramatic like that, way
mhm.
ahead, like blow it out the water where no one else thought it was possible. And when it does happen, someone will eventually come, like a Usain Bolt, and he'll do his damn thing, and it'll be like, holy
Yeah,
fuck, never thought we'd see that happen. Didn't just break a record, but like did something we never thought would be possible. What the beautiful thing is, people will say, the last time we saw something like that, and then they'll refer to like either Jesus' Sheffield, your 2021, Ray's 1,000 pound squat, and the lineage is there in sports moments. You became a sports moment in our sport,
mhm.
that you jump from one lily pad to the other. Those are the big moments that pushed us all forward. Records will fall, and dot scores records will be broken, but I'm talking the big ahead of the pack by years, when records fall every 2 months. I'm talking groundbreaking, so far ahead, and everyone's like, holy shit, you got to rethink things, like when Ray squatted. Now Jesus can do it twice in the same day, but that we will always remember what Ray did and how
Mhm.
that jumped us from one lily pad to the other. And Jesus is running because Ray walked, type deal. Now, what
Yeah,
Jesus did at Sheffield, in 5 years, 10 years, another big man might come, but you will look back and reference certain key moments. Certain key ones are gonna pop out. And Jesus is Sheffield, your 2021 838.5, raise 1,000 pound squat. Like, those are moments that,
yeah,
like, for sure, it's like you bring one up, the new one up, you're gonna have to bring up the other ones as well. And that's done. That's already done. It's a part of this. That's a part of history, man. And that's what I'm
yeah.
talking
That's
about. Is
fair.
it'll be interesting to see when you look ahead and you see that next emergence,
Hmm.
and people will be like, "Well, the last time we saw that," and you could be like, "That's the beautiful thing of sports, man." You know,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh,
you're part of the
no, I
history
got it.
now.
I got it.
You're like when you're walking around that organization and you're looking at the pictures on the walls and the black and white and whatever, you'll be in decades to come, you'll be one of those guys. And we don't have to
Well,
blur out the
you
name,
know what
but
was
you're one of,
crazy? They have like the pictures of the history of some of the people, and they were like, "Yeah, this guy got paid 40,000." Like, I'll tell you after, but he was like, at that time in that era, he was getting paid 40 grand. So like, you think about what these guys are getting paid now, and it's like, damn. Okay,
well,
so like, that's where again, I'd like to. Unfortunately, I think we're still very young in the powerlifting realm, but we're like even just in a short amount of time, Sheffield is a bag. Um, People like, but this is the tough part as well. Is like I think some people are chasing the bag when they should just be chasing legacy and let everything else that comes with that legacy just happen. That's what I'm trying to do. Like I wasn't if I could have stayed in USAPL and won a couple pro series and gotten thousands of dollars. Um I didn't. But would I have had the opportunities that I'm having now? Would I be able to call myself a world champion to other people that in power? No. So like is the bag worth it or is the legacy right now,
where
currently?
will the bag come? Like, put it this way: if you chase legacy, wherever that path takes you, um, you can eat food off of that resume and you can eat food off of that legacy for the rest of your life. When the terms like
If
speaking
you're
engagements,
smart, yeah,
books, or whatever, like you can, doors will open for you for here on out. You could leverage forever on out. Bet it. So that I do get what you mean, where it's like, don't chase the money, chase what you think is going to be your legacy piece. And then
yeah,
from there on out, no one can ever take that from you. You
right,
got something to work with.
yeah.
It's all up to you
It,
after that.
it is, and I think that we need more people that are level headed, and uh, not just focused on the money aspect of this. Because if you're chasing the money, I think you're going to burn out very quickly, especially in this sport. Like I know that as crazy as this may sound, there's NFL and MLB, NBA guys who are just so athletically gifted, but they actually don't like the sport that they're playing. As crazy as that
Really?
sounds. Yeah. Like
Really?
my buddy trains NFL athletes and he's like, the guys that just love training, and then there's guys who just train because they have to. Like it's night and day. And then you go up to them and ask them, you're like, do you even like doing this? And they're like, no, I just like getting paid. And that's legit. That's real. So um, if you're just chasing the bag, it's going to be a short career. Uh, I just truly love like lifting weights, fortunately. Um, and I just found what I was good at. But yeah, like people that are chasing the bag, I hope um, truly love lifting because everything else will fall into place if you just love what the process. Fall in love with the process, man. Like
Yeah.
the someone said the beginning and end are the most fun, but your destiny lies in between. Because that is how legacies are created. The work. I wouldn't have been able to call myself quote unquote the best or whatever if I didn't put in the work. Yes, genetics play a factor. Yes, the way I'm built plays a factor. Um, but if I wasn't able to put in the work, if I didn't eat, sleep, think about powerlifting, take care of my mind, seek guidance from not just my coaches, but from other coaches and do some of the other things that I've done, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So That's where you have to fall in love with the journey, not the start and not the end. There's no end. I think it's Simon Sinek. He has a book called The Infinite Game. When you're playing a game that's infinite versus you have an end goal, like the guy who's playing to never lose and there's no end in sight, he will always win. And that's the same thing in business. It's I'm not here to, yeah, I reached this goal, I'm done. It's infinite. I'm beyond that. And that's where I said, like, I don't chase to be number one. I chase to be my own. I want to be who I am. But I want to do it on my terms. No one's going to put a limit or cap on me except me, which is no limit. You know? So
that infinite game, I heard about it. For instance, in real life terms, you could use it in war as well. You will never win a war when the other guy is playing for the infinite game and you're playing to win. For instance, U.S. occupies like Vietnam. How could U.S. possibly not win this? Because Vietnam is playing the infinite game. You came here thinking,
yeah,
we're going to show up, we're going to win, and then what? No, this will never end for me. You're in my
right.
home.
That's right.
Till the end of time.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how this is actually going to win. You're going to leave. You can't hold because we're here for it. For us, it's forever. You're going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
All the odds would have to be U.S. wins this if they go to war. But if it turns into an infinite game because you're trying to occupy, no, you can't win.
Right.
You can't win because you have a date where you think, when do we win? No, you'll never win.
Yep.
Infinite on my side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you got to be careful if you're entering into an infinite game with somebody else. Where you're like, can you win this? Win this? You know, and this is in life. And that applies to business and everything. Be like, the person you're going up against in certain situations, yes, but in that particular situation, you better be careful they're not playing the infinity game where it's they're literally so invested. It's like, no, they're never going to stop. It's right up until the
they're
end.
not going to get you tomorrough. They're not going to get
No,
you
no,
today.
decades,
It
dog.
may come, yeah, it may come
Their
20,
son, you're going to pass it
30
on to your
years
kid.
later.
Their son is going to find you
Yeah,
in the
man.
street. Like, my father told me who you were, you piece of shit. And you're like, that's the infinite game. What are we doing here? Yeah, you fuck. You didn't think I knew
Oh,
who
that
you
would
were.
be epic. That would be absolutely epic.
I
That would
know,
be
but
such a good movie. Oh my God.
but um
The
but
infinite
yeah, man,
game. The
that's
fucking
the
like
infinite game.
third generation. I
They're Taylor
told you
Atwood the
I'd get
third is
you.
coming, man. He's
What?
coming. He's taking that 74-kilo title back to the US. And here it is. It's the infinite game.
Wait until my kid
Um,
gets here. He's gonna whoop your ass.
that's, that's right. You think this
You
somebody
think this is
wins.
in
You slide into Callie's DMs. You think this is over, kid? You think this
18 years?
he goes, what, I'm in my mid-30s, your early 20s. You think you got me? But there's an Atwood who's 15 years younger than you. Okay? He's 15
That's
younger
right,
than you.
motherfucker.
The age gap keeps moving. And then Callie's talking to his girl, like, I think we got to have a fucking kid. That's what happens. We got to have a kid now because this is two generations.
Oh
It's an
my
infinite game. I
God.
can't back out. I can't
That
back
would
out.
be hilarious.
But yeah, and you said some other points in there. What were we talking about? I had something else I wanted to jump in there. Like, we get each other
Yeah,
wound
we
up,
go
don't
on
we?
tangents.
We do, but I love it, man. You pump me up and I pump you up. And people hear it like that. I think I'm getting pumped up. But yeah, in terms of everything you said, oh no, also in terms of the ages of world champions, I do believe, and this also goes back into the growth of powerlifting where everything is moving into certain directions. I think people are finding the sport younger, and that's why, like, I could tell you right now, I joined powerlifting in 2008.
Damn.
And this is before like Instagram and YouTube was only out there for 2 years at that point. And you just found powerlifting because you knew somebody who powerlifted, and
No,
you had to
no.
have hopefully bumped
Me?
into them.
Or oh, you,
No, no, no.
yeah, yeah.
The proverbial you. Sorry,
Yeah.
not you.
Yeah.
And so that's how you would find it. So I found powerlifting at 28 years old. I lifted weights, but I know powerlifting wasn't even on the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's on the forefront of everyone's mind because it's growing so much. It's all over Eurosport. Look at some kid in Europe is going to be 8 years old, just like you grew up watching baseball with your dad. Maybe, I don't know, I'm assuming. And in Europe, some you're American. Is that racist of me being Canadian
Yes.
to say you said that because I'm American, you fuck.
But I did grow up watching
You,
baseball.
but accurate, but accurate. And somebody, there's going to be some kids in Europe. It was whatever day it was,
Mm,
flipping on the TV and on Eurosport. This came on
yeah.
younger and younger and younger now because
Yeah.
the reach is getting bigger and the platforms are getting bigger. Younger and younger. So now people are finding the sport younger, peaking younger. So the
Hmm.
ages of being a world champion, and it's getting tougher and tougher. And I think the sport, as a sport grows, though, if you do this properly and navigate the waters properly, the sport gets bigger. You've laid down what you've laid down in the sport, you grow with it.
Yeah, because I think now any sport that is truly mature, I think you're starting to see like I think Usain Bolt beat his record when he was like 23 or 24, like set the world record. Um
Yeah. I read his autobiography, but I can't remember now.
yeah, like most of these people, they're setting their PRs like very young. I think Michael Phelps also uh like broke the first world record when he was really young, I think 19. So you're gonna have these freaks of nature just coming out of nowhere, breaking these world records at young ages. And I'm not oblivious to that. I know it's gonna happen. Shit. How old is Calle? 21. He's
Yeah,
young. Austin's young. So like
25-ish.
so listen, I it's inevitable. Like no matter what we do today, there's going to be a bigger and better person coming in the future. So we just have to revel in the time that we have, be present in the moment, and accept like when it's your time, like be on and really be present in that moment because there's
Now I
moments
found
where
my thought. You brought me back. Sorry to cut you off.
good,
I just got excited because you brought me back. I knew you would, my man.
my
Okay,
man,
we still do. We still
my
do. Can I
man.
say? Give my. I knew. Um, we were talking about possibly chasing bags, and you said, "Don't worry
Yeah.
about the bag. The bag will come. Don't chase money when it comes to this. Chase moments, chase legacy, chase." And this is what I was going to say: is whatever your path is going to be, it's fine. It's you, whoever's listening to this. But yeah, don't chase bags because in life you're gonna make money. Dog, you're probably gonna make a lot more money outside of powerlifting than you will in powerlifting, and you probably whatever. Chase moments because when it's all done, this
Mm-hmm.
time period is goes by so fast. Time goes by
Damn,
so fast.
that hit. Chase moments.
Chase moments, man. How many moments, Taylor, have we had, dude?
Damn.
Me and you have been all over the world together in so many crazy moments. We're like a band that goes on tour every summer. Where we going
Mm-hmm.
this summer? And we've so many moments, my dude, all over the world with so many people. Me and you have seen so many different groups of people come and go at so many different world championships. The same people that we were seeing before aren't there. Just chase moments, enjoy moments, and be like, at the end of the day, you look back and the money you made, I made 10K here, will be trivial.
Mm-hmm.
10K is nothing in the big scheme of things. Over the course of 10 years, 10K will be nothing. But if you have like, there'll be moments that you would never sell. I know you already have, because I know I have these moments. You couldn't buy them from me to wipe them from my memory. I have these moments and they're mine. And sometimes I still look back, I'm like, I can't believe the life I'm living. Sheffield was one of them. But there are certain worlds moments where I'm like, it's crazy. I'm flying around the
You
world and
know,
we're doing this.
one of my best moments in my life, like I had just won the Florida State Championship for weightlifting. And it was also I was a senior in high school. And I had just won. I went to the hotel with one of my buddies. We were lifting in Daytona, Florida, Actually, the same exact building where I won the state championship is where I won nationals that year. I had the best.
Stop.
Swear it was wild. It was wild. Um, but anyway, so I won state championship, and that same night was grad night for my schools. And grad night in Florida, we like as a high school, they shut down the park overnight, and all like students from across the state schools, different schools, go to Disney, and we ride the rides. They shut it down for the night. So we got there at like 10 p.m. and then we don't leave until the early morning back home.
It's a movie.
It was
Throw
wild.
zombies in it,
It was
but this is
wild.
a movie.
So I had just won the state championship, and I was with a kid from another school, but close to my school. So we knew each other and we were competing at the same event. And we were in Daytona, but we had to drive to Orlando where Disney is. So we drove, we stayed in the hotel. One of his parents had a hotel. We got dressed and whatnot, and they drive us to the park so that we can meet up with our school. So I'm coming off fresh, right? I have the medal on my neck. I'm wearing it. Yeah, I'm wearing it around the park. And
you were Taylor Atwood even then.
Yeah, of course, man. Like man, yes, I was. Anyway, so one of my buddies texts me like, "Yo, we just got here." So I went to the front, and there was like this rave tent, and music was playing. And back then, I forget which song it was that was really popular, but it was like when rave, like techno music really started to become popular. I think it was World Hold On. Like World Hold On. Okay. Anyway, so I have the I have the medal on my neck. My buddy texts me. I run over to where they're at, and they all start rushing in. So I start recognizing people. I'm like, "Hey, what up? What up?" And all of my boys from the football team come in, and they knew that I had just won the championship because my head coach was at the championship with me. So he let everyone know that I had won, and I didn't know this. Yeah. So when they all saw me, they bum rushed me. They literally picked me up in the tent. Like we went into the techno tent.
The song was on.
When the song was on, we started dancing, and they were like,
"Damn!" You were like, "This is the greatest moment of my life,
dude." You talk about like for a high school kid, man. Because it was just me and my dad at the championship. So him and I were just hugging, like we just won. It was just my dad and I's moment. But when I got to share it with my other football buddies and friends, that was wild. And they made me feel like $1,000,000 because I was like, they literally hoisted me up on their shoulders and were like, "It's what state champion. It was wild. Absolutely wild. So yeah.
Crazy the setup too. Like Disney, is it Disney World or Land over there?
Disney World.
Disney World shut down, and all these high school kids get to have it to themselves overnight. There's a rave going on at Disney World that is completely shut down, except for all these high schools. You just won the state championship, and your boys are like hoisting you up and tossing you over their shoulders and be like, "He won, he's the champ." You got this is like if you're a high school kid, this is like the best way to end your. Of course, that's the highlight,
dude.
You don't get no bigger than that. You don't get no bigger than that.
That was such a fantastic experience, man. There's moments. Chase the moment.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Chase the moment.
Exactly. Who can buy that moment from you, kid? No money.
Nobody.
Fuck your money.
No one, man.
You're making money right now. That's fine. It is what it is. You got a day job. It is what it is. But like,
think about that. Like
these moments are tough.
All the money. Like, I wouldn't trade all the money in the world for that moment. To like, if you could erase it from my memory, like from Harry Potter, I give me $1 billion, I wouldn't. Like, that is such a defining moment for me in my life, and such a great moment. It was wild.
How about at Worlds when Penna won and had that moment with his freaking dad?
Oh, dude, we
Dude,
actually talked to Penna after, and uh, we heard his story about what was going on with his dad. My dad was there with him, talking first, and then I went over. But Penna was like, "Yeah, when I see you and Taylor together, that makes me like happy because I got to share this moment with my father now." And he
mm,
understood like the significance behind it, and like Penna and I, we we bonded over that moment. Like I've never bonded with someone that close. At least for me, at least it was very close for me. Like it hit home because I've been able to do things with my father that I know make him proud, and I know that Panna made his dad proud. So,
oh,
and
dude,
I
I
and
s-
I put that on my story. I was like, "You made your dad proud, man," um, and he did. So that story is one of the best stories, and it resonates very well with me because I'm very close to my father. But for him to be able to do that, yeah, he yeah, chase the moment, man. Chase the moment.
he
I'm gonna remember. I'm stealing that from you.
dude,
Chase the moment, dude.
but it's the best advice I could give anybody.
Yeah.
If someone's thinking about in terms of decisions to make in their life, period,
Hmm.
like you think about that. Like if you think this is a moment or you think this is an experience that's like going to impact you in life, like lean into that.
Yeah.
When you look back in life, like, man, it's all you got. That's all you got. When I think about things that pop out in my mind's eye in the last 10 years, it's all these special moments. You're like, this is the highlights, man.
Hmm.
You remember the people you were with and where you
Dude, it's
were and the
so
moment you had
vivid.
together.
It's so vivid too, right? Like all the moments. I'm sure you can like I remember what I was wearing. I remember the people that were there. I remember like my medal actually fell off. If I showed you the medal, there's a scratch in it from it hitting the ground. So
Makes it better.
I was literally like moving people like get out of the way. And I had to find it because it fell off my neck. So it was just like yeah, it was such a wild experience, but um they're so vivid, so vivid. You're making me
And
relive it right now.
well, when it comes to like most days, like it's like damn, or it's the weekend already. Like days fall off like real quick, man.
Hmm.
But the day, some days last for some days are so long. Some days like the night, the day, the anticipation, the event of it, the feel, because you have so much emotion. Most days are just come and go, and you're not. It doesn't bring emotion out of you. That's what it is.
Hmm. Yeah.
A day comes and goes, and you don't feel too much about it because what are you going to feel about? You're just going through your normal job. It's your job. You're just doing your job. You're doing whatever. Yeah, but you can have a good day, but there's a moment will elicit feelings from you. It can make you laugh, cry, and have like I mean, feel like so intensely at certain parts, like anxiety before because you're in a moment. You know when you're about to have a moment, and unfortunately, it's the way it is. You'll feel that anxiety, and that's why you don't have to be afraid of anxiety. You can be friends with it because the moments that me and you are talking about right now is always precursored with, holy fuck, I feel that anxiety. That is your cue. You have an opportunity for a moment.
Hmm.
If you pull this off, it's the
Ooh, that's
moment where
good.
we were talking about before. That's what it
That's
is. But
good.
if you don't have that, like sometimes moments can come out of nowhere, but you know that anxiety is triggering you because I care about this. Holy shit, I care more than I thought. This is a big deal. This means a lot to
Hmm.
me. And that's okay.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, that's good. As a matter of fact, hunt that. Hunt those moments. Chase them down.
Don't run
Throw
away from
yourself
it.
in. Don't run away
Embrace
from
it.
that.
Embrace it.
Embrace that with everything you've got. And
Hmm.
when you're at home in your day to day, you won't feel as intensely like when the victory comes. It's so
Yeah.
sweet when you're celebrating with your loved ones and friends. Like it's so big, and when it's a moment and the world's watching, it's like, oh my god, this is intense. But yeah, it's intense. It's crazy. This is
Hmm.
crazy what we're doing. We're living a crazy life right now. And Penna to be like ranked fourth going in on nominations, so far behind, and freaking for him to come ahead and end up winning, like he was underdog, sir.
Mhm.
Underdog, sir. Everyone else had totaled more than
Not to
him.
him though.
Not to him, dog.
You talk
He came
about
on the
someone.
podcast. He came on the podcast like he told his dad was never comes to watch him. And his dad's like, I'm coming. And his dad
Mhm.
told him, you're gonna win this year. It's like, Dad, I'm fourth by like 20 kilos. Dad, I'm and he's like, you're gonna win this one. And it's the craziest. It's talk about a freaking moment. That's
Yeah,
a sports moment, man.
that is.
And that's another reason why I'm, doubling back to everything we've already said, but show up. It doesn't matter. Like if you plug me to a machine, him to a machine, I think he's stronger. It doesn't matter. Show up, see it through, hit your lifts, do your thing. You can win.
Mhm.
Yes, you can win. Just keep showing up. See how the story ends. Let's see how the story ends.
Yep.
Show up. Who knows?
Mhm.
Whatever the odds
Mhm.
are going to be moving forward, this. Yeah, whatever. Maybe. So if someone's like, what if you don't win again? Maybe I don't. Maybe I do though. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up the next 4 years in a row. And maybe I lose 2, 3 in a row. I don't know. But if I fucking win one of those because you have a bad day and have a good one, do you understand what's going to happen to my legacy and how crazy people are going to go? They're going to go, holy, it'll be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I showed
Mhm.
up. It'll be like,
Oh
I just
yeah.
got to do my job and show up. It is what it is. We'll chase some moments. Maybe,
Oh yeah.
maybe not. Whatever. It's just, whatever. That's another thing where you don't let fear handcuff you.
Mm-mm.
Show up and see what the hell happens, man.
That's what I think limits are. It's fear of the unknown. So we have to place this arbitrary limit on ourselves because it's the fear of the unknown.
Mhm.
We're just
And the worst case,
we're fearful.
is never as bad as we tell ourselves.
No, no, because I've never sat here after I've put in, let's say, a hard ass session and been like, damn, I wish I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's true. Said no man alive. That's the truest. I always tell myself that is like when I'm humming a horn and whatever's going on, I'm like, do it. I've never regretted it. Go to the
Yeah,
gym. I've never once been like, I shouldn't have gone. Yeah,
yeah,
you should have.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
go and train.
separates you. Yeah, go train. I'm about to train after this. I haven't been since last Friday,
Are
but
you
today's
really doing
my
this
first
10
work
o'clock
day.
at night?
Yeah, I just have a quick bench session.
Dog, you know
Um,
what? Can I say something? I'm a fucking bench too at the same time.
let's go.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're
you're
gonna
welcome.
it's almost like we're working out together. I gotta
You're
get my
work.
steps in too.
There you
I've
go.
been
You got to get a bench session and your steps in.
we got to do what we got to do, man. Dude,
Hey,
I'm glad. Listen, I'm glad you came back on the podcast. I'm glad you have the maturity and wherewithal to like be like, let's wait a second, because this was a good conversation. This
yeah,
was a
yeah,
good conversation, man.
I agree.
And you hit all the points. You talked about it all. You didn't shy away from nothing. You know what I mean? Where and you let sometimes it is like knowing when to let certain things pass so that you have a little bit of time to look back with a little more clarity. Like
Yeah,
now I can, it doesn't, nothing stings as bad. Time helps. Sometimes you
yeah.
want to hit it fresh, other things like, give me some time. You were mature enough to know that. Some people aren't, dude. Some people were,
Well,
you're
listen, it's
like,
taken me.
there, yeah.
I'm 34, so it's taken me some time. Trust me, and I'm still not perfect. So I I just think that to your point, um, I've done things out of emotion that I wish I wouldn't have. Like I've said things even recent. I've out of emotion, not logic. So if you would have caught me a day after, I was fucking heated, and I would have said some things that I would have regretted 100%. And I just didn't. I'm tired of people taking what I say out of context. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let this die over, let it just marinate a little bit, and if I still feel the same way a month later, then I'll say it. But if I don't, then I'm not even gonna touch on it. And I didn't. And here I am. A month later, I'm doing better things. So
Oh, like you're good. All of a sudden you realize, like, oh no, everything's fine. Yeah,
everything's
usually
great.
is. Usually is. Yeah.
Nothing has changed.
Yeah,
Nothing.
I know.
Like only
That
for the better,
right.
actually. Like
Yeah.
My
It,
sponsors are absolutely phenomenal. Shout out SBD PE Science. I got a new sponsor on the way, which I can't announce yet. Um, Apparel brand. And then I have the speaking engagements. And it's like all these, I just traveled to Tampa, Florida for PE Science. We shot some content. That was a dope experience. They didn't drop me because I got third place. SBD didn't drop me because I got third place. Knock on wood. Hopefully they don't. So
it was
like,
one of the best sessions of the worlds, man. Probably the best on the men's side for sure.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, so from a business standpoint, like business is booming. So it didn't taint anything from that perspective. Calle deserved it. Let him have his glory. Um, Now we just have to hop on our horse again and get back onto that journey, which is to be the best in the world again.
And yeah, man, the sun rises and we keep doing what we do. And eventually, um, you know, when you have time, for sure, like when you end up, whether it's 5 years from now, whatever, and your schedule's not as bad, when you start doing more and more speaking engagements, more and more commentating, more and more, like this is like a flash of possibilities of what could be. And you do you, are you an MMA guy? Do you know who Michael Bisping is and all that he's doing now, or Daniel
Yeah,
Cormier? And like, okay,
yeah. I don't know what
there was
Bisbing is
so
doing now, but I know what Cormier is doing.
commentating, podcasting, and speaking engagements all over the world, and he probably makes more money now than he did fighting. And he's crazy. It's he's living the life. So and this is what he says
Is
on
he
the
really
on his
Michael
podcast.
Bisbing?
Michael Bisping is he does speaking engagements and gets paid. He does podcasts all over like Rogan, but also like with Bobby Lee and all them.
I'll have to
And he
look him
does
up.
commentating for the live stream, the commentating, and like he's got several shows he does now. And he's like, can't believe only when he retired and the schedule opens up, but he's like, I just can't believe what life can be. Like, because he thought, because he's the champ, when I retire, what do I have afterwards? And you don't, it's different, but it doesn't mean it's going to be worse. It might be better. And doors will open up where you'll be all over the world and in front of thousands
Only
of
if
people.
you make it though.
Right. It's not going to fall in your lap.
It's
You have
not.
to,
You have to
well,
go out and look for it
and this
and
is
be
where your
open.
mind, and this is where your mind has to start shifting. You have to start seeing opportunity. It's
That's
not
right.
being negative, but being like, what's the opportunities here? And that's
Yep.
where these conversations like you had start being like, well, you know what? No matter what happens with that individual and that organization, hopefully that opened up your mind to. And when we did our commentary, hoping that opens your mind to, and you start thinking like, I got to start opening up. There's opportunity here. And when you're knee deep in being an athlete, sometimes you have to have blinders on, and I get that. But
Yep.
also, it's okay to be like, you know what, I got some big opportunity here. And I think now you're starting to see some doors that could open up, dog.
Mm-hmm.
And like way back in the day when I was powerlifting, um, I was on a fucking reality TV show, Six Pack Labadat, the Powerlifter. And like we flew around the world, and I was in a reality. This is back reality TV before social media was big.
Yeah.
It just because I shot out emails to like TV producers and did like over the weekend auditions every day. They took athletes from the Olympics and like these guys who were like and girls who were like athletes from like Olympic. And I was a power lifter. This before powerlifting
That's
was big at
crazy.
all. And the titles I won at the time were like you thought were like so small because of like the sport was so small. This was before the IPF went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So every day at the end of the audition, they would read names about who made the cut. And just to make it that far, I just sent out emails and all the whole nine. Like so many emails, I got so many no's. And at the end of every single day, and they'd have us do a whole bunch of shit on camera. They'd read, and then people would be going home. And then the last day, there's us, me, and three other people. And they're like, all you guys are now on the reality TV show. And they were
That's
like,
crazy.
yeah. And I'm like, so I'm going to be Ryan Lapadat. Like I'm a cast member. I'm not talking like a one-off. I did tons of one-offs as Six Pack Lapadat, like Can's Got Talent, maybe that's count, Guinness World Record show. Like I was on the kid show, rolling frying pans for kids, and it's like a YTV like
That's
zany
wild.
show. And I made so many appearances once I started doing TV. Your phone starts ringing, and I'm like, so I'm going to be this is reality. Like I'm going to be Ryan Lapadat, and they're like, no, you're going to be Six Pack Lapadat because they wanted me to be. I was already six pack. I'm like, no, like we love like oh this whole thing, whatever you're doing. And my point is, and then all of a sudden, like like major newspapers and like actual morning shows, like more TV morning shows had me on. And
That's
I'd come into the studio in Toronto and they'd have me on the show and they'd have me like roll like flip cars and do crazy things. And this is before powerlifting was big at all, dog. This is
flipping
2011.
cars, dude.
I'd flip cars. Dude, I was a big boy at one point too. And this is 2011. This is like long before powerlifting was anything, right? But to the point of seeing a bigger vision, I saw what I could do as a personality and using strength and whatever, and use powerlifting and step outside. And my mind started working that way. And then my life, I got flown to Italy and they flew like it was crazy. I was like on doing all types of television on one-offs at the same time I was on this TV show. And then eventually, yada yada, ended up with the IPF and found my way on commentating. And then look what I still fly all over the world, having moments, doing Sheffield, and I'm a part of so much. Point is, when I turned the corner and started seeing things that way, that's when I started reaching out for opportunities and I started pitching myself in opportunities. Man, I started believing in this. And this is what I'm telling you is like, this can happen. Yes, man. Yes. You have second thoughts? Hop in my DMs. Tell me about it. I'm that guy. I'm that buddy who's like, this ain't crazy. You better go down to
No,
that office. You
it's
better.
yeah. That's another great point is you have to have a good team around you as well that believes in your vision. So surround yourself with good people, because when you tell your big vision to small-minded people, they're going to shut it down immediately, and they're going to try to say it's a dumb idea or they don't know what you're doing, or they're going to put their limitations on you. But surround yourself with like-minded people, because it's very rare that someone that's like-minded is going to say that's a dumb idea. So Ryan, to your point, like not once have I ever heard you say when I say something like, bro, what are you talking about? Nah, look, I know this is the podcast and you're probably thinking it maybe, but
No, dog, but we talk how many times we hang out and talk about this?
Right. Yeah. But you hype me up for sure. Delaney, same thing. Like he tells me something or I tell him something, and it's never, that's what? It's how are you gonna do it? What's your strategy? And that's again, like I'm not challenging you. I'm just tell me more. I want to know how are you gonna do it? And that's like that's who you need around you. It's not, oh no, that's a dumb idea. No, that's dumb. No. You shouldn't do that. No. No, it's like, oh, that's dope. What's your plan? How are you gonna do that?
Tell me and let me see if I could add ideas to it. Have you thought of this?
Yeah, iterate. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And your friends, you like I posted a video in my stories about that one kid who was, what number is this? We'll call him Billy. What number, Billy? Show me the 3. And he grabs the card. He's like 4 years old. He grabs a card and it's a 3. And his boy is at the table. He's like, yeah, that's my boy. Yeah. And the other kid is like cheering on his friend. Yeah. He's like, that's my boy. And he's like so excited. And then he goes, show me the 2 now, Billy. And he grabs the 2. And his friend's like, oh, his friends. And I'm like,
going
get
crazy,
you a crew. Yeah. You know, that one quote where it's like, when you win, you look around your crew, pay attention to who's not clapping and celebrating, because that person is, pay attention to that. And other people recognize the stronger my team is, the stronger I am. The stronger you are and you're around me, the stronger I am, because when shit hits the fan on me, I got my team is strong as shit. That's the way I look at it. I told Gavin one time, Gavin was like, I've had a couple of people reach out to me on podcast. Joy, the 19-year-old crazy bencher who's blowing up on social media, talk to me. Certain people talk to me on podcasts, and Gavin's like was asking me questions. He's like, I was thinking about doing a podcast. He's like, what do you feel about that? He's like, and he said like, I don't want to step on your toes or nothing. I'm like, doggy. First off, I want you to do a podcast. Blow the fuck out of that podcast. We're going to do cross episodes together like we already do. How many? I'll be on yours. You'll be on mine. We'll do a Christmas special where we're both on each other's, and we do like the Sabato boys in the UK. Like we go on together, whatever. We'll do preview shows together. I'll bump you up. You bump me up. No. This isn't as big as you are, as healthy as you are, as healthy as I am. We're all on the same team, fam. We can all eat. We're all strong here.
Didn't Gavin have a podcast? I thought he had one.
He was doing some videos and like recording, but I don't know if he full on launched a full on podcast yet. He's
Okay.
tinkering around with things. And then I told him this one story, and then I ended up making a post about it. Here's a story. You'll like this 2 minute long, not long. This one guy was in a car crash, and an angel came to him, and he dies, and his body elevates, and an angel comes to him, and the angel says to him, I'm going to bring you to a place, and I need you to observe. It's like, what the hell is going on right now? She brings him to this one place, and it showed everybody. It showed these people that were starving. I mean, starving. And across the way, but they couldn't die, but they were hunger. They felt the hunger, the pain in their stomach, starving. And across the way, this barrier that they couldn't get by was a table filled with food. All the food they could eat in the world, as much as they want, right across this barrier on that table. And they're starving, but they can't die. And they're just staring at it. And in their hands, they had these huge spoons. And they're trying to grab pieces of the food, but they can't bring the spoon back to their own mouth because logistically speaking, the spoon, it's not going to work. So they're starving and they're trying to scoop the food, but they can't. They'll never get the end of the spoon to the mouth to eat it. And they just starve like that in that agony forever. And then the angel takes that young man to another place. The exact same scenario, but everybody is happy and fat and laughing and joking around and loving life. Do you know why? Because that crew fed each other.
Damn. That
Doggy,
hits.
what
That
crew you
hits.
want to be? What crew you want to be? You think about that.
Say less, man.
And then I dropped that story in Gavin's DMs and voicemail messages, and Gavin hit me back like, fam, you got me riled up right now. I got you, man. That's how I got you. We eat together. Whatever you want, man. Launch a podcast. I'll advertise it on this podcast. We'll do crossover episodes. I hope you do well. It's only good for me too, man. We feed each other. We feed each other, man.
Yo, that's the thing. Is like anyone. This world is so big that, like, again, we can't be so small-minded. Of I'm stepping on your toes or I'm doing that. It's like, just think beyond it. Think of all the lives. Yeah, you can focus on powerlifting and whatnot, but think about all the other things that you can talk about, and the market that you can hit. And it's like you can have people from all spectrums of life on your podcast. It doesn't even like Joe Rogan. He doesn't stick to one genre. He has multiple people on his podcast, and that's where it's like yeah, have someone in your corner that's gonna back you 100% and then go execute.
Yeah, man. And Rogan didn't do any of this till he was like 50, by the way.
Yeah.
Like it took a long time
Like,
for
I
his
don't even
he's in
know.
his 50s.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy social media and how things actually, like, what people are interested in, the psychology, and
you never know what's gonna blow.
no.
And that's why so there will be some people who see people as threats and they're actually limiting themselves. So when there's like Joe Rogan's a guy, he's a good example, whom he surrounds himself. So Andrew Schultz is hot on the rise, and Andrew Schultz is absolutely killing it on his podcast Flagrant, as well as like all of the social media channels. And Andrew Schultz on the rise, a stand-up comedian. Rogan was a stand-up comedian. Instead of being threatened, Rogan brings him in, had him on the show multiple times, brings him into the fold, and Schultz has exploded. And now Schultz and him are like crew.
Mm-hmm.
And now Schultz will be bringing younger generation and Rogan doesn't fall off because instead of staying secluded to himself and just staying there. When new people come in, he embraces them, and then their new market is now his market as well, and it keeps growing. It's generational now, as opposed to, sure, why don't you be afraid of everyone coming up behind you and fend them off, so everyone that follows them is going to see you as that guy as well, or embrace, bring them in, be a part of, and all of a sudden your fan base grows and everything grows and everybody's happy and everyone wins when you do this. When you don't have that famine mentality, you got a
Well,
feast
that's
mentality.
what I was mentioning earlier is like I want to get out of like just solely focusing on the competition of powerlifting, right? Because if this was like a business, I would accept Austin with open arms.
Mm.
But since it's a competition, it's like I do still feel some type of way in terms of like I don't want him to beat me. I still am better. You know what I mean? Like it's still that
Yeah,
mindset.
that's
So
the
I
athlete
think
mindset.
I think that like there's still something um I'm still a competitor, but I think in other areas of my life, such as the speaking engagement, like I'm gonna be beyond that competitiveness, right? It's still gonna be a part of me, and I'm gonna talk about that because I still am a competitor. But like, I'll go do talks to some of the people that potentially, if they don't like me or whatever, and later down the line, somehow turn out I turn out to not be as bad as they think I am. I can go do talks with them, right? So it's just right now from a competitive standpoint, for me at least, when it's something like that, I think competitive nature is needed. But like what you just mentioned, where you can both benefit. Because what benefit do I have with honestly um, hyping up Austin? Like what? How does that benefit me? Personally, I don't think it does. But like from a business standpoint, if I am Rogan, yeah, I get those extra followers. So I'm gonna invite them on the podcast. I get a bigger reach. I get a demographic that I didn't have before. So it's okay. You help me, I'll help you. But from a competitive in class and weight class competition, I don't see how me motivating Austin is beneficial for me.
No, it's
it
not. Here's the thing,
it's
and
not. So
that's why I give athletes so much leeway. Like, people won't like how certain athletes carry themselves. People who have said that about you, who are saying that now about Austin, who have said that about Russ, who have said it, and I say it on the podcast all the time. I give people athletes so much leeway because they're doing the best to make as much impact as possible, make you feel like I'm not this proverbial you again. The world feel as much about them when they're in the moment, so that when their moment is done, you remember them and then they could carry on. Michael Bisping,
mhm,
who's a great example, I'll go back to him. Him and St. Pierre had crazy beef, and he called St. Pierre a snake. They had a face to face where they like were pushing each other, and obviously they fought. And St. Pierre took his title from him and choked him unconscious. And him and St. Pierre, like, do you understand how that went to felt for him? Like you think losing in like a powerlifting competition, and for you a loss is like bronze at a world championship. You're on the podium. That's not really a loss for 90% of the world, 99% of the world, but like for you, you feel it's a loss. But can you imagine getting beat the fuck up, dropped, choked unconscious, and you guys are pushing matches, calling each other names? How difficult that would pill to swallow.
yeah.
And in front of your family and your kids are watching. Years later, St. Pierre's on his podcast, and they're friends. They hang out. It's all done. It's done. When you turn the corner, and you talked about the athlete mentality a little bit there, later in life, it won't feel the same. That's what I tell certain people, is like, you won't feel the same about certain people, certain events, certain whatever, and things will change, and that other people won't feel you the same either. Let me tell you a good real quick. I know I'm a story fucking guy, dog. I do speaking engagements too, or I did anyways. um Vinny Pazienza fought Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran is from Panama, and one of the, I mean, you want to talk machismo? He had like showdowns with people where he was like, he's the guy who fought Sugar Ray Leonard And Sugar Ray Leonard was like US's golden boy coming out of
Yep.
Olympics, and he was undefeated, and he fought Sugar Ray Leonard, and he's the first guy to beat Sugar Ray Leonard. And he made it a drop down dirty fight. In the press conference before, he told Sugar Ray Leonard, he like made sexual remarks about his wife, and he was like, Ray's like, can't we just be friends? And he's like, be friends. Like, he's the machismo. Roberto Duran's machismo. He's like, I will fucking step on you. He's like, he saw him and his wife. They ran into each other at a restaurant. Sugar Ray thought he'd be respectful, approach his table, and he's making comments to Sugar Ray's wife. That's what it was. And it's like fucking like Roberto Duran is, we're gonna fight. Make no mistake, we're gonna fight, my friend. And then after he's the first guy to beat Sugar Ray Leonard. And it's the first loss because Sugar Ray got in Sugar Ray's head, and he's like, I gotta fight this guy. I'm not gonna box like I normally do, like Ali. And Roberto Duran beats him up, takes his title, grabs a microphone, and in an interview, he's like, "Hey Ray, we could be friends now." And it was a slap in the face. Now, this is that Roberto Duran, okay? The prideful guy. Roberto Duran was fighting a guy years later. He's like 40 years old, lost most of his money, still fighting. Fought Vinny Pazienza. Vinny Pazienza was in his prime, and Vinny Pazienza beat him up um, twice. And there was tons of trash talk in the press conference. Tons of trash talk in the press conference. And like Roberto Duran and all Duran's people were like, fuck, if only he could turn back the clock. And he couldn't turn back the clock and get the win. And Vinny Pazienza is talking about this. And he saw Roberto Duran at the bar like a couple years later, and he was like having a couple drinks. And him and Vinny Pazienza, I mean, Roberto Duran's a prideful man, and Vinny Pazienza and him got into it in their press conferences. And he saw Duran, and he walks up, and Duran's seen him coming, and he's like, "Fuck!" And he could tell Duran's face is like, "Fuck! I just don't want to deal with this shit." And Vinny walks up to him and says, "I just want to tell you, you are still the GOAT to me. You are still my idol. I never told you that." And Duran, who's Roberto Duran, started tearing up. And Vinny's like, "Yeah." It's like, his tab's on me. And Vinny left, let him have his night. And Duran is like, God fucking damn. And it was like, we were just in the moment. Everything I said was in the moment. But now years pass. When I see you years later, I fucking know who you were. And when I had to fight you, I said things and felt things, but I knew who you were then. And now I see you and it's like, no, man, we're good. You're the fucking GOAT to me, man. When you see me coming, don't be like, fuck. Don't be like that if you see me coming. That's what Vinny wanted him to know. Is like, when you see me coming now, that's done now. We're done with that now. We're both retired. When you see me coming, I'm a peer. I got you, man. I got you. They take shots at you. They take shots on me because we went against each other. To take from you is to take from me. You know, because we were together. We competed together. Who did you go against? I went against him. You talk shit about Duran, now you're talking shit on me. That's my resume too. We were rivals. You'll feel differently later in life is what I try to tell people. And you learn that also. Like you're 34. The younger guy is like Austin's 24. I'm 44. Okay. So you see our 10-year differences. So we all like look at each other differently. And this is where I can tell like we're all different periods of life, which is kind of cool if we all sat down in the same room. But it is that. It is that. And so yeah, you still have that competitor in you. But when you're my age, there'll be points when I can see you doing tons of engagements, doing all types of shit. And you'll look at everything a little differently and you'll be at peace with a lot
I'm
of
sure I
things.
will.
And yeah,
I'm
man,
sure I
it's
will.
life. Life is beautiful, dog. Life is beautiful.
It'll be different because even a few months ago, I was thinking differently. So
It is. It is, man.
yeah,
But listen, I kept you, man. We already crushed over 3 hours. Like we always do,
yeah,
kid.
yeah.
And you got to
We
do.
talk too much.
Conversations though, man. Freaking love our conversations. And everyone's going crazy about that little preview thing I put up. That
Yeah, that was dope.
quote's coming back. Oh, people like, dude, that's a fire edit. Who did that? I'm like, it's not like I did a lot. It took
Yeah, my wife
SBD's
even was
video.
like, "This was a cool edit."
It makes because you kept quiet for a month and you let everybody else talk. You let everybody else talk, and it was perfect. And then when you finally came on, you're in the perfect place for us to have a beautiful conversation. And we
Yeah,
went places. We
yeah.
went good places, positive places. And
Positive. That's what I'm about, man.
yeah,
Positive vibes. Positive
That's it,
energy.
man. Positive vibes. It's going to be tough for people to talk shit, but that's fine. It can't always be spicy, right? Can't always be spicy. But anyways, man, thank you for coming on as per usual. I don't know when I'm gonna see you next, but we'll probably let's do some more podcasts together and
Yeah, I'm
obviously talking
down.
DMs.
I'm down.
And who knows, man? Let me know when your next competition is going to be. And if I see you in if it's not, if you don't compete at PANS because you're doing something else, like if SBD decides with Sheffield or whatever, I got no idea what's going on. But
Yeah,
whatever the
neither do I.
situation, commentate with me again or
Oh,
whatever.
I'm
Let's
still coming to nationals. Like that's
yeah.
done. Like
Okay. Okay.
regardless of what they do, I'm still coming to nationals.
Yeah. And whatever your schedule's like, I don't know what the schedule will be, whatever, but let's look at some of these opportunities to do stuff like that together because that was fun.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right, man. We'll be in each other's DMs like we always are, anyways.
Yes, sir.
Everybody listening, post up in your stories, and until next time, six pack Lapadat, six up, and we out.